Oh, thank you. Okay. But I'll say no with you.
Good. All right, you good, Patty? Welcome. Welcome to the Committee of the Whole. It's a pleasure to have you all here and council members as well. Let's get into it, and we are going to go ahead and start with approval of the minutes for December 6th, 2023. Corrections to the minutes, questions?
I make a motion to approve the Committee of the Whole minutes for December 6th, 2023.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Great, thank you, Paul. And with the consensus, or what would the vote be? All in favor? There we go. Conducted in the class. All in favor? Aye. All right. We'll go ahead and move forward to our discussion item number 1 for the Power Department report and invite Greg Bellon, right? Bellon.
Bring Matt up.
Bellon. It would be Bellon.
Yeah. Hello, Matt.
You want to introduce the other people here?
Yeah, we're gonna do that right away. Yeah. And council mayor, thank you for letting us be here tonight. So I thought with two new council members, we kind of we love our employees, and so that's what makes our fire department above everybody else in my mind. In our city, we love our city's awesome, but we love our employees. So we'll just give you a brief overview of our department, what we do, and we'll go from there. So so we have 49 employees. We've got 7 administrative employees, 7 people in that. Barbara, I can't list them all, but we've got a good group of the administration. And then these two right here that are on the screen, there are two newest employees. Engineering manager, go ahead, Chris Neiman, their engineering manager. Stand up and introduce yourself a little bit. Come up here and I'm gonna let him tell you who he is and maybe what he does for our department.
So I'm the engineering manager. I've been doing this since 1992. I work for the city and REAs. So currently I'm in REAs, the Rural Electric Association, Dixie Power. That covers, so REAs are Arcane Power, Moon Lake Electric, so they're the more rural applications. So I was with them 10 years, city 24 years, so, and we thought we were gonna retire, now we're here, so.
Grateful to have you. Well information.
We don't know like that.
So I'm over the people, so, there's 3 in metering. So the metering, I also teach as an adjunct teacher for Salt Lake Community College. I did substation training, teaching for Salt Lake Community College. I've been with them 20 years. So currently we have 2 apprentices on the metering side that are in that apprenticeship program, and there's 2 also in the substation. So I help out on that side too, so. So we have the metering, and then we have, there's 5 substation technicians, one with the power generation, Paul. He handles the generation, takes care of that, so it's great. Murray is so blessed to have that capacity and that generation here. So, and then, there's 4 planners. So they do the planning, coordinating, and meeting with the contractors and facilitating jobs, and we got some great things to do at Murray. We're excited. I'm excited to be here. I was raised over by Fashion Place Mall, so as a junior, we decided to move to Delta and do ranching. So I didn't graduate from Murray High. I graduated from Delta High, but I was raised here for 17 years, so I love it. So it's great to be back. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. We're grateful to have you. Then Eric Bracewell, come on up, Eric. He's our operations manager.
Doesn't he love to get up in front of people?
Yeah, he does actually.
Yeah.
As well, I'm the operations manager, I'm a believer in a like long walk on the beach. No beaches around here, so, but, yeah, I'm in charge of operations, but I've been with Murray City for 18 years. I started off in the board. I worked as a journeyman utility arborist is what they're called, and then I'm also a journeyman lineman. And I worked on the line crews for 10 years, and I'm also a journeyman meter tech. And Chris was actually my teacher when I was going through my metering apprenticeship. And just to give you a little feedback, our apprenticeships are 4 years and about 8,200 hours of on-the-job training. So I mean, it's quite a bit to get through apprenticeships. And so the guys that we have going through right now, they put a lot of their own time. They go to school. They don't get paid to go to school, and so they come to work and then they go to school afterwards. But so when they get those journeyman cards, it's kind of a big deal for them. And we really appreciate having Chris here, and he teaches that class for us. So his knowledge is I learned, I've known Chris for a while, and even before I went through that, I took some of his classes out of Logan Power. He was at Logan Power for a while, and it was great taking his classes. But I'm in charge of the linemen, so we have 4 line crews, and we're able to put on a service crew, which is saved our response time. It's cut in half during our hours, our normal operating hours, and so just having that service crew is huge. We had one probably about 15 years ago, and when we lost all those linemen to retirement, we haven't had a chance to put one back on yet. But thanks to the help of you guys and allowing us to hire one more person, and we're able to put that service crew back on, I think it's helped our community, our city a lot in response time for power outages. So I'm in charge of the linemen. I'm also in charge of the line crews. We have 4 in-house tree crews that I'm in charge of, and having in-house tree guys it's I mean, you guys work with them. You've seen them, what they do at the city hall for the Christmas tree and everything. It's just awesome having in-house. I've done both. I've worked on the contractor side of trees. That's how I got into Murray City. And just having our own tree crew, it's priceless. They can do the work that the contractors can't. They're here. They care about the city because they actually work for the city. And so I'm very grateful to work here. I got 12 years to go. I'm hoping I can make everybody proud. I appreciate Greg and Matt for giving me the opportunity to take on the operations manager job, and just thankful to be here. So, thank you.
Yes, Eric. We have turned over four major management. I think. We just had a retirement, so we're fully staffed, but we have a position open again, so knock on wood, we'll see how that goes. But, so Eric talked about a forestry, 9 employees, so I mean, how tall is that tree they're in right now, Eric?
I'd say 70, 80 feet.
I mean, they're up there, so you can see the power lines on the other side of the tree. I mean, these guys, I'm sorry, they don't get paid enough. They, for what they do, they work hard every day. They're out just trimming, they keep, but our path, so we haven't seen it this year, but if we get a really heavy wet snow while the leaves are still on the trees, every other city around has outages like crazy. Murray kind of gets through because our guys are out just doing that every day. So they're awesome. So if you see our forestry guys out working, I guess you get home, just don't scare them out of the tree. But let them know they're appreciated. Then we got line worker, 13 employees that Eric was talking about. They're out working on street lights or on new installations. They're troubleshooting. They're held in after hours. Every one of our employees is very important to us. So, and we got metering. Chris talked about metering. We got 3 people in metering, 2 apprentices. One of our apprentices though was actually a journeyman lineman, so that's kind of nice. That's the same route that Eric was. He was a journeyman lineman and came over into metering. So we're doing really well in our metering.
Have we had any of our apprentices drop or
Uh,
we retain them pretty well for
We
these 4
lost
years?
2 on our line crew. We lost 2 apprentices about 4 years ago. That hurt.
Yeah.
That was hard. And we actually, so we kind of changed our pay scale. The pay scale was a little bit the rest of the cities, so we fixed that. But hopefully we can retain them. We don't lose a lot of employees. I think people that come here enjoy working here, and we really don't lose a lot, so I think that says a lot about Prairie and as a city as a whole, so. Substations, our sub guys, so that's one of our generation substation,
Is that the one I
supervisor,
called
he's the one who just retired, Aubrey Hallam, so that's the position that's open right now, but they do a lot. They do our hydro, they maintain our substations, they get a lot in a day, so, that's Colton Cackle. That's, he's a riot. But we have, I mean, I didn't, I can't.
Steve.
Yeah.
Talking back here.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and we love them. And we got central control, we got 5 employees, so that's 24/7. We have a dispatch room, we call it central control. We have an employee up there, so Corey right there, he's our supervisor, he's there Monday through Friday, regular. And there's someone, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he's there by himself, Thursday, Friday, there's someone else at the desk, there's 2 people there, but then we have people that take turns being on call, or, I mean, after hours and during the night, so we always have someone on in our central control, and yeah, they take all city calls after hours. They'll dispatch water, they'll dispatch anything that need to do, affect our department, but. And then they also monitor every day, every hour, they're up there monitoring prices of power. And then they decide, we have gas purchased, but gas right now is in the $2 range, what a gas, last year it was $60, so we purchased some gas, just ahead a little bit, but they'll buy it back at the spot price, which is fine, but we can buy it cheaper right now than we can generate, and so.
That's what saved us, right, a few years ago, that purchase.
Well, yeah, we always go through our really heavy hours, heavy time in the summer with our gas station, so that's a teaching resource, so that that was talked about today. We're blessed to have 3 turbines back there and can generate almost 33 megawatts, so that's not every city has that, not every fire department has that, so. But, so they're up there monitoring, they do a really good job of, they can save us a lot of money in a day. So they're up there just watching, and they'll check in the first thing in the morning, and if they see someone that's got some power during the day that's lower than what they think's gonna come in, boom, they'll make a transaction with Logan, with their excess power and bring it in, so it's fun. I would love to, anytime anybody wants to come through, we'd love to take you around and let you see these guys and what everybody does.
That's what you used to do, right?
In
This position?
But Matt's over this
but I'm over it now.
Tell everybody about your area, who you're over, so.
So I supervise them now at Central Control, and then the warehouse area, which Greg will talk about in a minute. We have 2 warehouse employees and a purchasing agent, Carrie Hart, and then my old position in Energy Services, Zach Green, who was one of our planners, is taking that position, and he has background in sustainability as well. So
We did not know that.
yeah,
This position opened up.
we had no idea that he had that background. He had a background in geography, and then I had to ask him, "Hey, would you have any interest in this?" And he said, "Yeah, I happen to have a degree in sustainability." Well, I thought, how convenient for you, right?
He's a stellar.
And he said, "There's gonna be someone on the council that really wants to talk to you, right?" Maybe a few people, so made that introduction. So
It's really interesting meeting him.
yeah, he's great. He's quiet, kind of unassuming, but he's very smart. So,
Appreciate it. Fire.
yes,
Yeah.
it's been good. So it's great to promote him internally whenever we can, right? And that's one of the few positions that has an education requirement. We have a lot of positions that have apprenticeship programs, right? But that position has an education requirement, and we weren't sure we'd be able to. So.
We lost him to GIS for a month or 2, and then we were able to get him back. We took him back with open arms.
Good.
There's our planners. I mean, we had 2 planners retire, how long has that been now? 3 years ago?
It's a couple of years, yeah.
I mean, they decided to go out the door the same day. We had, I mean, they just left, and DJ is the one in the middle on the right. He just kind of had to pick up the pieces, and he's done a great job. And we've hired Mike Brown. He came from the forestry division. Matt McQuiston came from a different division in the city, and then Parson came from a different division in the city. And we got a really good group right now, and they get along really well, and they're doing awesome. Yeah, sorry, that same guy looking at me again. Thanks, Ross. You're awesome.
Rub it in, way to rub it in.
But they do an amazing job. They do our blue stakes. So Carson does our blue stakes. And you know how important that is. But anytime anyone's supposed to dig, they're supposed to call it blue stakes. So important because there's so much in the ground, and all it would take is power. I mean, well, and power, gas, anything. I don't want to hit anything that's in the ground, but they do a really good job of going out and blue staking. We make sure they have good equipment. That's something we really have worked over the years to get them all the equipment they need to do their jobs in a good, safe manner. And we're always about working smarter when we can and not harder if we don't have to, but they do work hard. So don't get me wrong, we like to provide the best equipment that we can within budget. So, and there's a warehouse. That's Ed. If you haven't met Ed, come over to our warehouse. And he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan for life. He's from Pittsburgh. And anyway, he's him and we've got so Terry's over at our warehouse. I don't know who this is.
Purchasing agent.
He's our purchasing agent.
Inventory control specialist.
Inventory control specialist.
And then Bridger.
And we got Bridger back there as well. We've got 2 warehouse and Terry, so. And then they oversee about $3 million worth of inventory. So that we count that every year, and I'll tell you what, it comes with that, you know, there's not much written off every year. They do a really good job, and, you know, just can't say enough about them either, so. So we talked about UAMPS today. This is the only one I'm gonna throw out there. So Utah Associated Municipal Power System. That's what Mike was talking about today. So he actually works for UAMPS. And, so they're in a local agency, and we work really hand in hand with them. They represent 50 members. There's 30 plus members from Utah, little utilities. Not all little. There's some large ones like us and Logan, Lehigh, some of the bigger ones, but St. George. A lot of smaller ones that are represented through UAMPS. So if you hear us talk about UAMPS, that's what they are, and I attend those meetings. Matt does as well. Once a month, they have meetings that we go to, and then they have a member conference every year in August. So it's really a good conference to go to, and you get a lot of information on it. Any questions at this point? I've still got a couple more.
The UAMP is this where you can monitor and buy energy off each other? Is this
Through UAMPS, yeah. So they have a trading desk as well, and so they oversee all. I mean, their load is huge. They oversee all these cities, and so they have to make sure they can cover everybody's load. But yeah, so we're just a small part of that. But yeah, they have a desk there as well. So we're going through UAMPS to buy from Logan or buy from St. George or sell.
So they're like the flea market. Everybody comes and sells
Yeah,
their
kind of. Yeah, they're like big trading desk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the flea market. Yeah. They're just we get a lot from you. So we appreciate them. Just real quick on our resources. So we have CRFP, which is the Colorado River Storage Project. We get around 13 megawatts from there. Hunter Power Plant over in Price. That's a 22 megawatt coal. That one I think it's slated until 2032, I believe. But coal is an issue, so we don't get coal. We don't get them every day, or we don't get them every month. They're kind of cycling to make sure we get covered to the highest loaded areas. So, but they can only get so much coal, which is what we're doing right now. Landfill. So we have 2 landfill plants. We have about 7.5 megawatts total there. That is awesome. I mean, there is nobody else in the state that has methane gas. We do.
We're
So-
probably one of the only ones in the West too.
Probably, yeah, they're
Like
just,
talking to other states, they're like, wait, what? You
Yeah.
extract from the dump? Yeah, we should too.
we were talking to someone about, before we got all that, yeah, that's not technical. Like, okay, whatever, I mean, green is green, I mean, it's either, they either generate with it or they flare it, so I mean, we're helping with the greenhouse gas there, methane, so I love that, I think whoever, I think it was, and the foresight there to take that on was awesome, so,
Wasn't it before summer?
it was with Mayor Smart,
Or was it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
and Gary Merrill was, yeah. So, and it just went online just as I got hired, so that that was already in place. And we've got Red Mesa Solar, about 5 megawatts, and WRP is kind of with CRSP. We can buy power through them, but they just go out on the market now, so we don't do a whole lot with that, but it's available if we decide to do that. We got 33 megawatts in our turbines, and then we actually right now have 72 megawatts of IPP. We don't use it. We could call it back. We will call back this summer to help with about 19 megawatts this summer, just to help get us through the load. And one day we'll maybe talk about how we have to schedule our resources. I got to talk to Adam, so I think he got a good idea. But if you wanted to come over and schedule an appointment with us, we'd sit down and really talk you through the resources. I mean, anybody that wants to come over. But you have a base load that you can stay to, so you have a peaking, and then you come down, so the lowest part, you really don't wanna go base load any more than what your lowest resource, where in the low, like the low load hours, like at night, 5 o'clock in the morning, we're down at 33 megawatts, so you don't ever wanna have to have your base load higher than that, cause then you're gonna be excess and you have to sell it back. So it's really interesting how we have to fill in our resources, and in the summertime, it gets up to 100 megawatts. So that's a pretty big load to fill, so we try to do our best. We have to go out and market for some of that, but I think we have a really good resource mix. And I really like our resource mix. We're doing well. We're always looking for new stuff. Actually, we did put one more Sunnyside coal. It's not up there. We got 3 megawatts of Sunnyside coal, which is just kind of a replacement to get us through a couple more years. But
So.
we're looking at. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, is there anything available with Red Mesa? Are they opening anything up, or do we have to stay at Red Mesa? Solar?
I don't know if I'm not sure if they're going to expand, but we would definitely be on the list for sure to expand. We're also looking at another solar project. We've signed up for, we're just under 8 megawatts for that. It's in a study project phase right now, so we're definitely exploring bringing on some more, which is good because it will help us. It'll help us, and that will have some battery backup. So that one could actually help us go farther into our peak at night when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
So that one we're really excited about.
Where's that?
I'm trying to remember where that one's at. There's 2 different ones. It's in the state, so
Oh, is it?
yeah.
Hmm.
I am. Top of my head, I
Yeah.
can't remember where it's
Remember,
located.
it's Steel Solar.
Yeah, there's Steel Solar and Zion Solar. There's 2 different ones, but I'll keep you on top of that one because that one's I'm really excited about that. So
That's awesome to hear.
looks like we're about 5 minutes over, so we're gonna wrap it up.
So I was gonna tell you guys to have a few more minutes.
Oh, really? Okay.
You're the keeper, but I'll give you a few more.
Okay, so there's just a couple of our projects we're working on. Central Substation, we've talked about that. We've got RFP almost ready to go out for 2 transformers, 2 power transformers, 2 65s?
60s.
260 megawatt, our MVA transformers. And, it's gonna be $2 million a piece probably. They're gonna be expensive, but that's okay. We don't know yet, but yeah, exactly. But it's a project, and we're really gonna try and reduce. We thought about moving it up to where our warehouse building is right now. Chris got here and said, "Oh, we can keep it right where it's at." That's gonna save us millions. So we're gonna we already had 2 2 holes drilled, went down 20 feet, and there's good soil. So we're gonna keep it right where it's at, and that's gonna save us a lot of money.
Keep it up, Chris.
Yeah, we thought we were
I
gonna
remember
have,
you mentioned
I
that.
mean, we were
During
looking,
the
we were looking at,
breakfast.
we were looking at $24 million.
Yeah. Yes.
Move a building and move it. We're doing it, I think we're less than half of it. So maybe better than that, we'll see, but that's the expertise that Chris brought along with him, so,
Keep it up.
yeah. So, and they're, I mean, they work together with all of us, so we're excited about that. So just kind of forget all those numbers, cause I don't know what they're gonna come in at, but it's gonna be a savings, big savings. We got AMI meters, we've got meters gonna be getting set out hopefully within the next 3 months. And that's gonna be probably a year and a half project to get all those, maybe 2 years to get those out. And then, of course, we got LED streetlights, we worked with Brenda to get some money set aside for LED streetlights, and we're gonna probably do a 3-year project on that, and, so we're excited, we got some good things coming up, and, I mean, just the savings on LED streetlights, that payback will probably be awesome, I mean, we'll get a payback on those quite in a few years, I think, so. I know it's a lot to digest, but, just wanted to keep it simple, kind of give you, I really want you, I want you to know our employees, I want you to just come and get to know our employees, cause they are amazing, and they're what makes Murray City Power and what makes Murray City an awesome place, so. You have anything, Matt?
We wanna put another small hydro off. I don't think we put that on the.
Yeah, let's, so we are working on one, so we ran one last year, one we just could not get the work. That's gonna get rewired, so we are shooting to or
It's this word.
we're looking, yeah. We're looking to have both of those up and running. I mean, well, I guess we'll see what kind of snow we get. I'm kind of crazy, we don't have a lot of snow yet, so compared to last year, it's been an amazing runoff last year, so hopefully we'll get some snow and we'll be able to, but we had the turbine, or the hydro was running clear into October, which was awesome, so. But we will, so we're gonna get those up and running. The penstock, we had lining was coming out, so they came and did something, they went in and, kinda ground out what was flaking off, so we're gonna just run one more year at that, and then a year, well, so that'll be through October. As soon as the hydro shuts down, we're gonna have someone in place and probably have them come up and just, redo the whole inside lining. So that's gonna be a process, but we figured, Chris has looked into that, and he thinks that's probably about the only way we're gonna get that thing to last.
Yeah, somebody who
30 years.
does lining.
Yes, yeah, we need a chat, so, but.
How many
so,
megawatts will that give us if both are running?
5 megawatts, so,
From
And-
both of them?
yeah, 2.5 each. So, and that's a nice resource, so we love that, we love our hydro.
Yeah.
So that's what got us going. I think someone talked about that right there, yep. That's what got us back in the day, so we can thank whoever had the foresight to buy that hydro and get it going. Yeah, exactly. So, that was in 2000. Yeah, so
That's somewhere I would love to go see.
2013. There we go. So that's our sentence. I think we're doing okay. Do you have any questions for us?
Excellent.
Reach out, if you ever have any questions, please reach out. We'll answer them.
Where are we at with the landfill? Cause I know the contract's coming up.
Yeah, so, we had a good, interesting, so the trucking owner, the director there that took over, he said, hey, let's work something out. You know, they were taking 70% of that hydro, or 70% of our landfill, and we wanted to get that back. But he said, let's have a contract where we have it available to where if you want to sell low load hours, or you want to be able to sell your RECs, which, when in our mind, we would love to be able to sell the RECs to them, because right now,
They're not worth
Can you
much.
say what recs are?
Renewable energy credits. So
Yeah.
for every megawatt of energy that's generated, it comes with it a renewable energy credit. That then is, right now they're not worth a lot to us, but California where they have renewable energy requirements are worth a lot more to them. To get those credits.
And so we will keep that avenue open. GL's working with us to write a new contract that works
Okay.
with them. And so I think we'll keep the avenue open, but we'll probably bring it all back to us. But we wanna look at low load
And the
hours or something.
Low,
Yeah.
okay, low load.
So it benefits them because they have an RFP that they have, or they have an RFP, and they have a resource, they have a resource mix of or a resource plan that they have to attain. And so they really need that green energy. So and we don't keep the recs right now, so I think we'll keep an open contract with them. I think it'll be beneficial for both of us.
Are their peak hours more in the evening, or is it like kind of opposite from us in
No,
some ways, or?
they probably peak about like we do. Cause they're,
I mean, not that they would need that resource for
Yeah.
peak hours, but
but I think they're just looking to get, they
Yeah.
need it.
they need it. Yeah.
They were kind of sad that we were asking for it back, but they were okay with that because they knew that we were gonna use it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense to bring it back. It really does. But keeping it open for the recs I think is awesome.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
working with that. And yeah. So yes, thanks for asking.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it, 'cause I know it's been a concern of mine.
Yeah.
On its way back. We're getting it wrapped up. So
Awesome.
we should have something in place.
Okay.
We appreciate all your support and welcome. Great to have 2 new council members.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Matt. Thank you guys for being here.
Yes, thank you. So nice to meet you.
All right, we'll ask Zach Smallwood to come on up. And as he's coming up and setting up, we'll have a discussion on the ordinance amending Title 16 of the Murray City Municipal Code regarding subdivisions, approval procedures.
And before Zach starts, I just wanna take a second and let you know that he was selected today as the planning division manager. Congratulations. So, yeah.
Oh, we fill off with that figure.
No, I'm very excited.
That's cool, congratulations. I'm excited.
Really excited to keep going and plug us all into, not plug us all, the plan, lots of fun things. So, as this pops up. So, okay. So, I am gonna just do a little bit of a backup. We are here to talk about the subdivision text amendment. But before I get in that, for the 2 new people, the text amendment is a change in the ordinance. So these are legislative items, especially when it comes to land use issues, which is typically why I'm in front of you. It's usually land use related. And they're legislative, and which means that the planning commission does a first review, and checks the code, and then they make a recommendation to you as the city council, either to approve or deny or change something. And then the city council makes the final decision on those types of issues. So just wanted to give a quick overview of kind of what those are, just so you have a little bit better understanding on some of this other stuff. So going on, many cities throughout the Wasatch Front, Utah in general, had a process for creating subdivisions. So, just when you take a piece of property and you split it into another piece of property, or like in Southwest Valley, hundreds of pieces of property. And a lot of those would require up to 4 public hearings. One for preliminary and final at the planning commission stage, and then one for preliminary and final at the city council stage. We, as Murray, have not done this. The city council delegated all the land use authority down to the planning commission, which has actually been really great for Murray. It kind of streamlines the process a little bit more. So, the state was concerned with the broader issue that it was taking, you know, they're very concerned with the amount of housing is that getting built and the speed with which it is or is not getting built. So, they came up with this, Senate Bill 174, which is why I'm in front of you, is, all of this is to comply with Senate Bill 174. So this requires the subdivision to be reviewed by an administrative land use authority. That's again the planning commission. And they specifically called out that city and town councils may not review planning or may not review subdivisions. And then also mandates certain shot clocks. So once we receive an application and determine it's a complete application, we have to turn that around and have it done within 15 business days. It has to be reviewed by the planning commission. So we've had to kind of change how we accept applications. How I kind of explain this to the planning commission is that this will speed up a lot of cities. This will actually slow down Murray a little bit. But I kind of mentioned it that it kind of equalizes everybody out. It's unfortunate that I have to be a lot more stringent. And I promised Pam I would do this. So as part of that, we have to be very clear on applications that we take. So we have to be very clear on what we ask for at the application stage. So I've copied pretty much Lehigh's, so it's not completely finished yet. So I just gave them Lehigh's application. There are 49 items that you have to go through and check or initial to kind of indicate that you've acknowledged it, or NA if the planning division is saying you don't need it. So that's kind of where we're at, is we can only ask for those certain things up front, and we have kind of a shortened time frame to review. So here is kind of our current process. So right now we require a concept review, which is kind of an internal review. It gets farmed out to like power, the rest of the utilities, engineering, things like that. They usually give us comments, and then we can send that back to the applicant and say, before you submit for preliminary, here's a full list of things that you need to address for your subdivision. And then, you know, developer amends the plans based on the comments, and then they submit for, I realize that is not actually working well. Here we go. Okay, so then then they'll submit for a preliminary subdivision, which we are required to send out public notices. So that's usually, depending on the size of the project, it can be anywhere from 300 to 500 feet radius from the property. We send mailings to everybody letting them know that it's coming through. So then again, it gets reviewed by the city departments, staff report, public hearing, and then the planning commission makes their action. Then in between that, they have the final subdivision. So works with engineering to kind of clean up property lines, survey boundaries, utilities, things like that. Then they come in and apply for a final subdivision. And then we pretty much do the exact same thing all over again, just no notice on that one. We don't send public notices on that. It just gets scheduled, because usually it's cleanup items, very small things.
So Zach,
Yeah.
this is the application that people will have to fill out for Murray.
Yeah, so I'm making it look like Murray's applications, but like that's pretty much I'm taking word for word that list of requirements of what they need to submit. So it will look and feel like Murray's, but this is just an example because I don't have it ready yet for exactly.
Okay, and you have to have this done in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, which is almost done. So it's perfect.
Okay.
And you went to power and police and fire.
Yep, I did distribute the same
Yep,
application.
and they came back with
Yep.
you with a couple of different things or added.
Exactly.
subtracted.
Yep. Yeah. I sent this to all the reviewing departments. Said, does anything on here look excessive? Does anything? Do you need anything added? Engineering only tweaked 2 things, so it's a very, very helpful list, and I think it's what the state recommended. Well, let me rephrase that. The league, the League of
Granted
Cities and
us.
Towns recommended Lehigh's application, so I just put it in there.
Zach, I have a question.
Sure.
I may be out in the field with this one. I know the school district is not involved with this anything at all, but it does affect schooling eventually. Do we have a courtesy notice to them? Does somebody from the council, are they assigned to ask the school district how will this affect their schools as we design new subdivisions, or?
So, kind of two answers to that.
Yes.
The first one is that we do send them a notice. If you look on the back of your packet, you actually see the notice list. When this is the same type of notice we send out to.
I don't know that they got the list.
Oh, the mailing list? Okay,
Yeah.
just kidding, never mind. There's,
I do have it if they want us.
yeah, there's about 29,
I didn't recall seeing it, that's all.
29 is, I think, what we call affected entities.
Okay. So
So it's usually Conwood Improvement, Dominion Energy, the school districts, so they do know that a subdivision is coming.
good.
However, the state actually a few years ago said that cities cannot require approval from the school districts, or for things like that because of those cities were abusing it. But at the same time, it's not.
They can request input though, right?
They can, the developer can go to them and ask for input, but the city cannot say, you must go to
Oh, right.
the school district and get
I get that,
approval. Yeah.
but can we recommend they do that?
Not really, because by the time it gets to the point that it's at an approval period, that's, it's really outside, they've already been noticed, and yeah, there's not usually anything like that.
It's basically just, I mean, this was something when I was on LPC that they were fighting, and they just really wanted more control to streamline without.
What a surprise that is.
I know.
Yeah,
That's why I'm teasing about it, because they didn't recommend, they required.
yeah,
Yeah,
they require.
they were,
Alright.
they were preempting
They had
us
it
to
in
do
it.
it.
Yeah, they're on
Yeah.
their hands on everything.
Yeah,
So if something will negatively affect the school, for example, a developer is never gonna bring it up.
it won't bring it up, and the school can come to,
They don't have to.
they don't have to, but the school can come, just like any other public hearing, and bring it up.
Yeah, you know, cause I'm thinking Horizon Elementary where I'm at, and the huge development is gonna be going up there, and we're already overcrowded as a school. And
Yeah, I mean, that's why a lot of the times we have these, the coordination meetings with the school district. We usually have those discussions, Phil usually goes to those and says, this is what's coming down the pipeline. And that lets them,
When's our next one, Zach?
Next Monday.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, there you go. I was gonna go, that's what that's for.
so it preps them for it. So, this is the current process as it's written. This is the new process. So concept review is, we're not allowed to ask for it. We can encourage it, which I do a lot. I tell people the benefits of it, and it works far. I kind of started taking this approach for the past couple months,
Yeah.
outside of it, and it's worked really well. People have seen a big uptick in concept reviews. So, now the new process will be the preliminary subdivision. Again, that really won't change. It's just, same notice requirements, review by city departments, staff reports, public hearings, action by the planning commission. Then they will go to, reviewing with, the city engineer and any of the departments. One of the sticking points that's gonna be a little bit of a, not a challenge, but it's just gonna be a learning process, is that the city and the developer are allowed a total of 4 reviews. So it's just gonna put kind of a heavier burden on the departments to make sure they're checking everything at each review. There are some safeguards in that, when we put in something in writing with a COMEX, the developer has to respond to it or it's not considered a review. they don't respond to it. So, that does help us a little bit, and a lot of times you'll get developers interested.
Is this gonna require more staff?
I don't think so, but that will be something I think we look at as time
As
goes
you
on.
go on,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think it will. Big subdivisions coming, they're gonna be really small things.
Yeah.
So commission grants preliminary approval. It's good for 1 year, before they have to, come back for final. As a matter of fact, I have one on Thursday. It's an extension of a preliminary review. So yeah, they have a year, and then a year after their final approval, they have to record, so. So here's where kind of the changes happen. So the final subdivision will be an application, but it will not go to the planning commission. It will go to planning division staff. Again, this is a way to slim down those approval timeframes. And just going through, a lot of times, like I mentioned, it's a lot of cleanup, just making sure that they're hitting every condition that they need it to be, which they should be doing anyway.
And this is required by the state then?
This is required by
Yep,
the
it's
state.
Senate Bill 174.
Yeah.
That one and the one for nonprofits.
Yeah, it
It's
was the
drilled
biggest
in my
one of
head.
last year, to be honest.
And the year before, that's when
Yeah.
they introduced it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge.
It's been interesting.
It was like a 100-page,
At least.
yeah, it was lengthy.
Yeah.
I read it. It was,
Yeah, it's crazy, but.
mhm.
Alright, so the findings here, we've gone through, I worked really hard with GL and Mark. We've gone through the code up and down, backwards, forwards, make sure it's all nice and clean, so.
Okay, so this is the code, yeah?
That is the proposed code,
Yeah.
yes. Before we get to that though, real quick, I just wanna mention the planning commission voted
Yeah.
5-2 to make a recommendation of approval. They did make a recommendation to amend the staff's change to allow them to review the final subdivision, which unfortunately we are not able to do. It's the,
Cause it's the.
yeah, it's the state, yeah, unfortunately, the planning commission is really unhappy that they were having a review taken away from them.
And all
And
that
this
is in
And that's in the.
November 16th.
Yeah.
I mean, it was quite,
Yeah, those are some chunky minutes.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, there's not, I met with GL and we talked about it and there's just no wiggle room, there's no listen to the planning commission review.
Unless we get sued.
Unless we get.
That's what you get to.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it would have to be approval from the council too,
Yeah.
and that can open us up to a lawsuit.
Yep, so based on that, we're recommending that you adopt the recommended changes based on the ordinances reviewed and stuff.
because the only change is that the planning commissioners are not seeing the final.
The final.
That's it.
Correct.
I mean, everything else they're gonna see. You also have your, if they follow this, if the developers follow this, and every department head follows this.
Yeah.
And our hands are tied
Yeah.
with that
And
bill.
I-
So we can't, there's nothing that we can do as city council members, because we have to follow Senate Bill 174.
Yes.
And you've already taken care of that with this.
Yeah.
And with GL and Bill and everybody else and,
Precisely.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say that I actually think it's gonna end up with higher quality applications
Yeah.
before the planning commission.
Yeah.
I kind of mentioned that we took things really quickly, like this is gonna slow us down. Where we would take an application, and it may not be fully baked, but we had this policy that if you submitted an application by a certain date, you were guaranteed to be on a planning commission by a certain date. We've since changed that because of these rules, that you just submit an application, we'll review it, make sure it's complete, and then once we deemed it complete, then you'll be on the planning commission. We can already see this in some other land use applications that we've taken. We've been able to sit down, Susan and I have been able to sit down and review an application and go, okay, it's missing this, it's missing this, it's missing this, and then we can go back to them and say, you're not ready, submit these things, and then we'll put you on a planning commission.
Like a grocery list.
Exactly.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay,
questions?
the policy.
Yes, let's get into it.
All right, my concern is with the format, the consistency, the lack of consistency
Okay.
with the format of the policy. And we can go over that at another time
Okay.
because it's, kind of semantics, but there's several things that are not consistent in terms of the way it is. Not just,
Okay.
because you know what I'm talking about, like,
Sure.
Presented.
okay, it's like, there's, the A's are not A, B, C,
Okay.
the capitalization is inconsistent, the way the indention is inconsistent, and with policy, it's really important to be consistent, so, I can show you specifically, but if we wanna get into it right now,
We can meet afterwards and then, but then also I will, let you know as well that this will go through, the codifiers, American Legal Publishing. So once you adopt it, it goes through a codification process.
Okay, so
And then
then
they go through.
do the
and-
changes,
And they, yeah, they do the format.
they'll do okay, GL, you're okay with that? That the
That's what they do
codifiers
anyways.
will take care of the inconsistencies of the,
We'll make sure it's consistent, yeah, they will.
For sure.
okay,
We will make sure.
okay, great, that just drives me crazy. But anyway. Whoa.
Yeah, there's a lot, it's very messy.
And where it says on page land use authority, which is misspelled, does not include the city council or a member of the city council. Well, it says when it defines like land use authority, so it seems that that's superfluous and not necessary, doesn't need to be there. Another thing that drives me crazy in policy is when there's redundancy and it's
So. For the
You're
state,
critiquing GL here.
state is the one who gave us all these.
to do that.
So if you don't do it consistent with what the state says, then you may have to go back in and revisit land use authority as a definition. But you don't just throw that out because it doesn't work with ordinance. You just can't do that.
Okay, but you did
So-
throw out ATA. I have to get something, come on, Jim.
The ordinance should be a lot more upset about that than this.
I'm not.
So, let's go back real quick, I wanna touch on three things,
What page?
my page.
Oh,
It's important to understand, it's really important to understand, this is the state who has essentially rewritten our code, right? One of the things they said is that this only applies to single family, two family, or townhomes. But Zach felt like it might as well apply across the board to any subdivision, because the process should be the same. If you have more than one process, you're gonna probably follow something at some point. The designated single administrative land use authority for preliminary applications is set in stone. It is, I say it's set in stone. When Zach showed you that that city council had approved certain things, what you're really referring on this slide right here, we haven't done that ever, because it's an administrative process, right? In cities that don't have a strong mayor, their city council retains some administrative authority. You don't. So that would never be an issue for us, but we're like one of 5 or 6 cities in the state that have a strong mayor. So the way the code is written is already a little bit confusing when you start talking about governing bodies and everything else, so just keep that in mind. They're specific about the city council cannot be one of those authorities because it's administrative. The concern there, if you can imagine, is you can imagine that getting in front of a city council with a room full of people who are upset, you're gonna have political decisions as opposed to administrative decisions, and I think that's the concern there. It is also very clear that the planning commission cannot rule on the final subdivision application. The other thing to keep in mind also, particularly for those of you that are new, most of the heavy lifting, I think, is done at the preliminary stage. And that's when you want the public to come in and give their comments. When that's done, the only question after that at the final is, has the final changed substantially from the preliminary? So if it hasn't, it should be approved. So that's an easy call to make for staff to say, this is what they presented, this is how it hasn't changed, and so we're just gonna approve it. I think that's why that fits. And then I think it's, lastly, they say that you can do this concurrently. We've already been doing these preliminary and finals sometimes concurrently. So it'd be a meeting at the planning commission, and real shortly after that, an approval by staff. So, back to your misspellings that Zach missed. We can look at that, and I'll be meeting with this week anyway, we can talk about that a little further.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I will tell you this too, there are certain conventions in legal publishing, so no matter what we put, the publisher will put it differently.
But
Just
there
that
are
way.
some consistencies that need to be.
Sure. But the capitalizing of city, for example, I haven't looked recent, but in the last publisher we had just ignored that and put a little C every time, so we do that for our benefit.
Well, there's some others, but I mean.
Sure.
It's just, I just, went over there and that just glared at me. I have a hard time with that.
That's all right,
That's okay.
we'll make sure that we take out the glare.
And that's why I thought if we're, if it's coming before us, then it needs to be good.
Sure. You're right.
Needs to be. Anyway.
My question, maybe this is helpful for you, Jill, is where does this leave us with the future land use map and planning in those stages?
It doesn't really affect the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to like changing of zoning, that still falls under us?
Yes. Yeah, that goes
Just
back-
clarifying, yeah.
That goes back to that legislative item.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, same thing.
okay. I'm
Just
just,
part of this bill that we haven't discussed and won't get into is part about the moderate income housing. How that is, they're stepping up their adamancy about we get this done, and we have a report, the default report, and if we don't, then we're penalized $250 a day. So.
Yeah.
Know that that's out there.
Yeah,
Zach's
it is.
working
You
on
do
that.
that, Zach,
Yes,
right? I mean, you have that.
Yep, and we
No
will be
problem.
talking about that very soon. So, yes,
yeah,
very soon.
minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Sorry, I'm counting.
That's okay. That's all right.
Now Pam's gonna poke me. She won't look at me.
You answered all mine through a phone call. I mean, it's the conversation that these planning commissioners had. I felt really bad at first, and then when I saw it was Senate Bill 4, I said, we're done. That's it. We gotta define a choice in that.
So this means we need to educate the public of the importance of the public hearing during the preliminary portion of it. That's where the crux is, where we need to hear from them.
Yeah, and I would say, so kind of, that's another reason why I showed you the process. We never gave, we never publicly noticed. I mean, we did our agendas and stuff. So if you were following along the agenda, then you would know.
Yeah.
But we didn't send out a notice saying that we were having. So really, the public really got informed of the preliminary already. So I don't think it really affects all that much. We will continue to send notices for preliminary subdivision.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, and that's.
Those that are within
Yeah,
that rate,
within that.
300, 500.
300 to 500,
Yeah.
depending on
Yep.
the cycle. Yeah, but yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Senate Bill 174. I will never
Thank
forget
you.
that.
Thank you. Exactly.
And
Thank you,
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh, I know, you'll.
All right,
You can't take your computer.
we'll go ahead and move on to reports from interlocal boards and committees. And everyone will get about 5 minutes each. We'll start with Ben Ford for the Central Valley Water. Come on up, Ben. Good, how are you? Brenda, you're after.
So, just a quick update on Central Valley and what's going on. So for the new council members, so we are one of the 7 member entities that owner and operator of Central Valley. So Central Valley is the largest treatment plant in the state, largest in the valley. Average flow is about 50 MGD, million gallons per day is what we treat. Our average flow in Murray City going to there is about 3.5 million gallons a day that they treat. So a few things, what's going on there. So they're just starting new budget year, January 1. This budget is about 12% less than the prior year's budget, and that is due to all the major construction that's been going on. We hit the peak of that, and we're starting to come down. A few projects are gonna be wrapped up this year, and by end of 2025, when we do projects will be wrapped up. One project that finished in April of 2026. So spending is down. One thing, there was a new Senate bill that was passed that modified how we have to public notice the meetings there. So each entity has to now public notice the meeting, so we'll be posting the board agendas on the board at least 24 hours in advance. That wasn't before, but that'll be a requirement moving forward. So all the meetings will be public noticed. One big thing, so over the COVID, with COVID, obviously that drove our price of construction kind of through the roof. But that also delayed the construction process as well. And with that, the state, Central Valley, turned over 5,000 pages of documentation into the state to try and get a extension on the discharge permit, and they received one, which is kind of unprecedented. So it's kudos to Central Valley staff and the documentation, and kind of the foresight that they saw the writing on the wall and documented all the delays and changes that occurred with COVID. To our best of our knowledge, no other plant or entity received an extension like that. So it's huge to know that we won't incur any fines or penalties if we need to violate our permit. So we have a 18-month extension to July of 2026, which is huge. Couple other things. So with the natural gas escalation we saw last year, we did get hedges in place, so we have natural gas locked in for essentially close to 2 years, which is huge. So we had big surges that affected us last year.
So when they were complaining about the gas prices, I said, don't complain to us. We know.
They went through the roof, man. One other thing of note, so as part of this process, Central Valley took a long time to kind of determine the treatment process that they ultimately decided to go with, the BNR process. But looking kind of down the road, the long-term benefits of it. With this process, gonna end up saving about 1.7 million in electric costs each year annually by going to this process. That's over the life of the plant, obviously. And we'll probably continue to grow as rates go up. But as part of that, as part of the BNR process, they're gonna get about a $2.9 million rebate to the Rocky Mountain Power incentive program, which is the biggest rebate, will be the biggest rebate that they've ever issued. So, yeah, it's huge. So there's a lot going on. Construction is ongoing, and another year or two, and we'll be on the backside of it. Yeah.
It started, it's scary.
Crazy, yeah.
Anybody have questions?
Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Alright.
All right. Thank you.
Ben. Alright, Brenda is gonna be reporting on Utah Infrastructure Agency.
I'd show you some pictures. Not of Utah infrastructure, you guys all know what you're,
Let's see if it works. There we go. I'm just gonna show you just a couple pictures. This is, Utopia UIA is doing very well. You know, they had a very rocky start, but they're doing well. This is just a picture of their reoccurring revenue. It kind of wanders through from July of 14 up. You can see it is still rising. Even I think COVID in 2020, it's actually rising as fast as during COVID. So, which
Brenda,
is
could you help me? I don't know acronyms very well.
okay. UIA and Utopia, they're basically they're two separate companies, but they basically provide Utopia services. Utopia runs it. UIA is the one who is doing the new builds and the charging of it.
For internet.
For internet. Infrastructure agency.
Thank you.
So when you see an ad for Utopia, it's really UIA that you're signing up with, but they're using the Utopia networks, and Utopia has all the employees. And Doug will address those. This is their actual revenue. The blue line at the bottom that's relatively flat, that's Utopia revenue. They do mostly consulting. They've gotten into, and they do have some business entities, and there are some entities there. The residentials and the big businesses are the red line, and then you combine them, the two combined. So it's on an upward trajectory. Sometimes when they go down, it's probably just credits or adjustments or something like that. It doesn't take much to do it.
Brenda, was one of the reasons they created UIA for bonding?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the reason they created UIA was because Utopia, they hadn't bonded out what they could, so they created UIA. It's past, you just can't do anything. So this one I find interesting. This is their revenue compared to their bond obligations. And the bond obligations are the dotted lines, which means that they haven't quite started paying payments yet. And then all the way up. And that little one that's got like 4 little dots right on the end is their latest bond. And then who they bonded for, it's based on the colors, yes. We are not, like for Layton's bond, Morgan's, Payson's, anything with a name, we have no, if they don't pay, it's not our fault, it's not us.
Yeah.
Payson will have to pay. So, but that's just kind of a thing, they've got a really good margin in there. Wish it was more, but currently they are up to 61,000 subscribers. And this is the most important thing on here is the Murray take rate. It dropped, it's at 30%, which is really good. They had finished our build out and they have maintained that 30%. We'd like it to be a little higher, but 30% is what they aim for. Some of the real stars are Woodland Hills. They have no other options, so they're at 60%. But
Brenda, is it, I'm looking at it, and this is news to me. Are they going into Santa Clara?
they did a consulting more type agreement with them. Santa Clara is funding all of it, and Utopia is putting it in for them.
They're going into other states too.
And they've done that. Santa Clara, they did that in Pleasant Grove. Some of them, anything that's not one of the original Warren cities, that's what they did. And I don't like it. I would love them to, both cities to have to pay the original debt, but I like it because that's why their revenue is growing so much and that they're paying us dividends now. So it's good. This is their total addresses. You just see that they just keep going up. They're getting more and more locations that they're.
Is this why we saw that commercial?
Yeah, Doug will go into why you're seeing that commercial, but you can.
Yeah.
This is Murray's. The one that I like on here is the Murray residential subscribers. It's climbing. You see that little dip right at the end?
Oh.
That is because a big multi-unit housing complex had individuals and they went to one. So the apartment complex took over all of the individuals, so you see it a little bit, but it's already it's gonna go back up past that pretty quick. So, but the revenue ends up being the same it's just in the subscriber count,
Yeah.
it's different. And, these are probably two of the cities, and the only reason I have them up here is because of those commercials you're seeing. This is a city that it's very small.
Very, very small.
There is no way that one of those big companies that provides internet is gonna run their internet into this city, especially this one. It's only got like 500 units that they could possibly get. There's no way that Comcast or anybody is gonna go in there. Look at the take rate there. It's like 60%, 70%. It tells you there is nothing else that they can do, and that's why Utopia exists right there.
Yeah.
It's because these guys in these small little communities can get high-speed internet. Now somebody's probably working from home that couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Brenda, can I ask you to do me a favor? Will you in just 30 seconds, and maybe you guys already know, Paul and will you just kind of just take a second and say how we got into Utopia, about when?
That was gonna be part
Oh,
of
never mind. Excuse me. Thanks, Doug.
We'll let Doug do that.
Oh, come on, just do it for him. Poor Doug. He's doing my COG report. So at least you get to do that, Doug.
Hey, Doug, come on up.
He's lucky.
He was here when that.
I know, Doug, I have never really had it explained to me, I know how it happened, but I have never had anybody really sit down and explain how many years are left, I know how much we're paying a year, and what it'll go up.
Oh, you're talking the bonds.
Yeah, I just wanted
Okay, so Utopia stands for Utah Telecommunications Open Infrastructure Agency, versus UIA, Utah Infrastructure Agency. So some 15 years ago, and I'd have to look up, I didn't come prepared with that date that Utopia started, but
Is that our star?
But it was about 15 years ago, approximately. Murray City voted, or the city council at the time voted to join Utopia. We were one of 11 cities that joined at that time.
Brent, were you on that council?
I was not.
That was just before you.
That's how I won.
Which is probably
They forgot.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is probably why.
yeah, people, oh.
And the concept of Utopia, which is still the concept today, is that they were gonna put the infrastructure, fiber cable into the ground in hopes that any company would use it, and it would be a cost savings because everybody wasn't putting their own fiber into the ground. So Google, AT&T at the time, and many other companies, the idea was if we can get it in the ground in these cities, it'll save all these other people some money, and it'll also provide super fast, fiber fast telecommunication to areas that don't have it right now. Because you have to remember, back in those days, fiber was relatively new, and people were using mostly copper and things like that to do that. So Murray elected to join in. At the time, they provided internet, as well as they were trying to provide phone and also cable or TV. It wasn't cable TV, but TV. They were trying to provide. And they rolled out a plan where they had about $185 million that they bonded for, and all of the cities were on the hook to have to pay the bond cost. And so they went out, got $185 million, and began installing fiber in these 11 cities. The business model at the time didn't work because people were not subscribing at a rate that they thought that they would initially to pay the bond costs. And they had a lot of problems being a new company. With TV, they were having trouble with phones, they were even having trouble with their internet at the time. And so a lot of people who initially joined left it because it just wasn't a reliable service. And so the cities were left with this, paying these bond payments of $185 million. Back in the time, I think around Murray City was paying about $1.5 million when it first started. And of course, there was no revenue to come with it. And there was kind of an unagreed promise at the time when the councils and everybody when Utopia was selling this to the cities, is that this would pay for itself and it would be a long-term source of revenue to the city, much like power is to us now, right? And that just didn't materialize. And so that was kind of the early days, the early downfalls. It was a 30-year bond, so Murray City was on the hook to pay these bond payments for 30 years. And we're about a little over halfway through making these bond payments. So there's still a long time left to make these payments. Things got so bad at one point in time that they couldn't even operate Utopia. And so they came to the 11 cities and they said, in addition to bond payments, will you pay our operation expenses? And Murray City was one of a few that refused to do that. Our city council said
We
no.
were on when we refused.
We're not gonna give you any more money. And that obviously didn't bode well with the other cities
They hated us.
at the time. Well, about that time, when things got to its worst, the Utopia said, we've got to change our business model and we've got to create an alter ego, if you will, UIA. And it's going to allow us to go out and get additional money because Utopia, I mean, their bonds got downgraded to almost junk bonds. And they made some poor decisions at the same time by buying into what was called a swap in the financial market, which required the interest rate to increase every year. So every year, instead of paying 1.5, the next year Murray would be paying 1.55, 1.6, and it kept going up until what we're paying today. They refinanced them last year or 2 years ago to a fixed rate, but now we're paying close to $2 million a year for Utopia. But in the meantime, they created UIA to go out and get more money to do more build because things were starting to improve. They were starting to see subscribership go up, and they wanted to expand their network beyond what it currently was. Because even in the early days, even though Murray was supposed to have full build out, we didn't get full build out. Like Murray didn't get full build out until last year, 2 years ago, yeah. So a lot of cities like Layton, West Valley, they were even in worse shape than Murray was. They had really no build out. And but as time went along, like I say, things improved. They created UIA. UIA now focuses on going not only to the 11 original cities, but they focus on trying to get other cities outside of the 11 original cities to implement fiber. The cities, essentially what they do is they commit to pay Utopia to install the fiber, run their system, but their residences are on the hook for the cost of it, the bonds. And that's kind of what Brenda was talking about earlier. It becomes a win-win because the more cities that sign up and make money helps the original cities like Murray. Because what happens is now the revenue, as Brenda has shown on these charts, is increasing dramatically. And UIA pays a portion of their revenues to Utopia to help pay the original bonds. And so, and this has only happened in the last 2 years. So currently, even though we're paying $2 million on our bonds, UIA and Utopia is refunding to the city. I think this year was a little over $500,000. And the idea is that over time, we don't know how long that'll be, eventually there will be a revenue stream that will hopefully offset the total bond payment that the city has to make. And after those bonds are paid off in 15 years, 10 to 15 years, that's a revenue stream that will come to the city every year without any bond obligation. So I don't know, Mayor, I don't know if that was made sense.
Yeah, no, great. Also, I just want to add a little, and correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but the new cities, all beyond the 11 cities, I don't believe any of them had to bond. Is that correct?
Well, they are on the hook
They're on the
if they
hook.
don't get enough subscribers to pay the bond
Right,
payments.
but I kind of want to be one of those cities.
Yeah,
I do too,
in
but-
hindsight, I think everybody, including probably our original council that voted on this, would have said, let's just wait.
Yeah.
And we could have joined now and not have to pay $2 million a
I
year.
have a question about Utopia. I know that they're branching out of state now.
Well, they have been out of state for a while, so they're in Idaho Falls.
So we only get the benefits back from the state of Utah
No, we get the benefit from the
for
other
the
state.
whole entity.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Idaho Falls, Bozeman, are
There's-
two cities that we get
Arizona.
quite a bit of revenue from.
Yeah.
We're not in Arizona, I believe, but there's talk about going into California, and they're researching that
I do
now.
know Utopia is in Arizona, in Kingsman, and then they're talking about California and Texas. I only know because I know a provider.
Okay. Well, you
So,
probably
yeah,
might know
yeah.
something I don't, but.
But I wasn't sure if that covered.
But we get, yeah, so all of these deals that Utopia and UIA are doing now, are essentially revenue generators for UIA and Utopia,
That's good to know.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So the only thing that I would add to what Brenda told you that's been new in the last few months is, and you may have heard this on the radio or you may have seen it on TV, is that there is a dark path out there that is, for some reason, has surfaced and running campaign ads to basically say that government-run telecommunication organizations like Utopia should not happen. And they're trying to, I think they're trying to create some political pressure out there at the local level to not want to join Utopia. And I say a dark pack because nobody really knows where the money behind this is. But I think you could all speculate, you know, that there are bigger telecommunication companies and they're now, Utopia is kind of, now that it's being successful, has caught their attention. And obviously they're now saying, this is, before they were not worried about Utopia. It was
Well, it's
not taking customers.
Utopia and other federal that are benefits that are happening in other states, yeah.
So, the staff at Utopia has met with, well, Greg Hughes is kind of the spokesperson in Utah for this. They've met with him.
Utopia?
No.
No,
for the
no,
dark pack.
for the dark pack, yeah.
So he's the spokesperson.
Yeah, he was in the video.
And they have met with him, they're trying to understand, is this a real threat or, you know, how this is gonna impact Utopia. Right now, there's not a lot of concern because there's nothing really that's coming of it, right? But if something does come of it, I guess I'll report that in a future meeting, but just be aware that there is some effort going on out there to try and discourage people from joining Utopia.
The one video, correct?
So, yeah, it's one TV ad and one radio ad.
Yeah, 13 or 14 years too late.
Yes, yeah. There's not much that could happen unless the state legislature weighs in on it, right? And
Which I'm
says,
sure is. Yeah.
we're not going to allow any more cities to join Utopia. And I don't know, I wouldn't put it beyond our state legislature. I've got a few of them, right?
All right, thank you.
I'll just move along then, to, I don't remember which order they were on the
So
agenda, but.
Valley Emergency Communications Center, Metro Fire, and Utah Telecommunications Open Infrastructure Agency.
So Valley, Emergency Communication Center, its acronym is VECC, V-E-C-C, or its, their official name is Salt Lake Valley Emergency Communication Center. Is essentially, our 911 system. And so what happens is there's a portion of everybody's telephone bill that helps to go fund to fund the 911 system. In Salt Lake County, there are two dispatch centers. There's the Salt Lake Dispatch Center, which includes Salt Lake City and Sandy, and then there's VECC, which includes everybody else in Salt Lake County. And that's what Murray City is a member of, is VECC. So when somebody calls VECC, they get the dispatch center, and what VECC does is they try to immediately separate an emergency from a non-emergency. Now, you all probably have access to a non-emergency number. If not, Jennifer can give you that non-emergency number. So if it's a dog barking, if it's I don't know, Craig could, our chief could talk about all sorts of non-emergencies that they get called to that would be better to go through the non-emergency number. But the emergency numbers are obviously the ones that VECC focuses on answering quickly and responding quickly. And for you previous council members that have been on the council for a few years or more, know that has been a problem for VECC because it's the largest 911 call center in Utah. And they take so many calls, it takes a lot longer to answer some of those calls. And they've been working on trying to improve that. Right now, they're meeting all of the benchmarks that are established by the state legislature, with the exception of one, which is their transfer rate. And the reason that they can't meet that right now is because when there's an accident on the freeway, those they come to VECC or any call center, and then they have to go to the Utah Highway Patrol, and that is called a transfer. So that slows the process down rather than going directly to the Utah Highway Patrol, and that's what VECC is working on right now. That's one of the things that is their top priority, is to eliminate the call from going to VECC to UHP and have it go directly to UHP. And as soon as they get that resolved, which should just be within a matter of a few months, that will improve the transfer rates, and then really VECC will be operating optimally, or at least meeting the benchmarks established by the state legislature. The other major thing that is going on at VECC right now is they're without an executive director. They have been for about 4 months. Their previous executive director retired. So the board is doing a executive search nationwide. They've hired a firm that specializes in executive searches. And so we have been waiting for them to provide us with candidates to interview and select for a new executive director.
It can't be you.
What's that?
It can't be you.
He worked.
No, it won't be me.
He can do both.
All right, so let me now just shift, unless there's any questions on that.
No.
I'll shift to what's called the Metro Fire Agency. So the Metro Fire Agency was established, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. At the same, or shortly after the United UFA, United Fire Agency, was established. So UFA is essentially a county fire agency, meaning Salt Lake County, not not area, but organization, Salt Lake County. And so those cities that contract their services to Salt Lake County are serviced by UFA. They're also, by the way, serviced by UPD, which is United Police Department, right? So cities like Mill Creek, Holiday, a lot of the townships, which they don't have their own police and fire departments, are serviced by these UFA and UPD organizations. And UFA, the fire agency, is at one time was the largest fire agency in Salt Lake County. And cities like Murray, Draper, West Valley City, we all have our own fire departments. And so, but some of these cities are too small to offer a full service of services. For example, fire departments don't just, as you know, don't just respond to fire and medical emergencies. They respond to things like drownings that are going on in the Jordan River. And they respond to hazmat spills that happen on the freeway or other places. And so in order to become full service, the cities that were not part of UFA decided to join together and specialize. Each city then could become a specialist in something that all of these cities could benefit from. And so that's essentially what Metro Fire Agency is. The other thing they can do is they can share in purchasing practices that can save the city money, because you've got more people, more cities, more citizens that are involved in the purchasing. So they essentially share services and share purchasing, and that's what we do. And we meet quarterly. We don't often meet. We've even canceled meetings. The last time we met was 6 months ago, so I don't really have a big update to give you. There's been some purchases that have been made, and we share a dog, fire sniffing dog.
Oh.
That is, I think Sandy.
Should we get it this month?
Sandy is the specialist for the dogs. They have the dog, and we help buy food for the dog and those kinds of things, right? So that's an example of what Metro Fire does.
Just curious, Doug, just a general question. Have we seen our fire costs increase or decrease as part of us being of this part of this metro?
I think Joey's better at this, but
Ballpark.
Chief, I would say they probably decreased because we are benefiting from a larger group.
That's what I would expect here. Yeah.
That fair?
Yeah, it would be tough because it's been around long enough. The overall cost, yes, has increased,
Yeah,
but if you were to separate out and not be a part of Metro Fire, you would see an increase. So it has decreased our overall operations costs.
Yeah, that's what I would expect. Thank you.
All right, and then, you want me to just keep going into
COG.
the mayors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Can
attend
you do
COG.
it in 3 minutes?
Yeah, I attend COG with the mayor, and COG meets 4 times a year. And COG is essentially, it stands for Council of Governments. It's all of the mayors in Salt Lake County, including the county mayors and the township mayors. And they come together and talk about various county-wide issues. At the last meeting, which Diane was present at, once a year they invite the council members of the cities to attend kind of a legislative meeting. And that happened last month in December. So they had Representative Galen Benyon, who happens to represent a portion of Murray. She talked about some of her interests on working on riparian corridors, specifically along the Jordan River, how she wants to get some funds to help cities improve those, as well as she wants to sponsor some legislation that deals with short-term rentals. And she's sounded like, to me, she was in favor of short-term
To be honest
rentals.
with you, I wasn't 100% sure when she was through, but I think she's in favor.
Yeah, I think she's
No,
in
she
favor of
is.
short-term rentals, and so
She
she's
is
gonna
no.
introduce some legislation, I think, to, maybe even require cities to
I
have
think
to
it's more of a
allow.
requirement and setting some tiers of them.
And she had some
And
pretty
limit.
tough, stringent, things that you had to follow through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she wants to codify it,
Yeah.
you know, better than,
Yeah,
than what it is. which
right
is
now,
better.
every city does their own thing.
Yeah.
And Murray doesn't do short-term rentals.
But they're there.
We don't allow them, but we know they exist. And then Senator Fillmore talked about mostly housing and low-income housing issues. And I think you're gonna hear this, we have our legislative breakfast next week. I hope you all got your invitation, official invitation today, but we're gonna hear this a lot over the next 2 months, 3 months, and that is the state is gonna require cities, I believe, to have a policy and ordinance for first-time home buyers. That's the real focus this year, is gonna be, how can you as a city help people get into homes for the first time?
And that's new, is that correct?
That
I
would
mean,
be for
new-
only
I don't mean
new
new.
purchase.
I meant to say,
New homes, yeah.
new homes. I wish they were doing it. Existing homes, but I hear there's some developers on the hill.
Just a few.
And then just to make you aware that Mayor Hells has consented to be in leadership for COGS. It'll come up for a vote
I
at the
was,
next meeting.
what's the word?
Railroaded?
Railroaded.
I-
They came up to me and said, you're gonna be.
Yeah.
This, could it also be used for people buying older homes? It
Just
has to
first
be a
time.
brand new.
See what the legislation comes out, but right now, the Governor COG,
Because I got a letter from him and it stated some things,
yeah,
highlighted what he would like. And
Yeah,
one
but
of
it
them
depends.
is older and going in and refurbishing it, new heating, electricity, whatever, they wanna do windows, roofing.
we'll see, but what we've heard at all of our meetings so far is no, it's only for new homes.
I think the bill itself is for new homes, but
They're
That
trying,
doesn't
what they're
mean they
trying to
can't
do is
amend
they're
it.
trying to increase the housing supply. Not, that's, the big problem is, you know, there's what, 15,000, short 15,000 homes or residential homes. And what they're trying to do is increase the supply. But we'll see how legislation works. And you'll be the first to
keep
know
track
that,
of
so
it,
you
cause you'll be
go.
up there.
Well, I don't know that. Or not, but, you know.
All right, any other questions?
No,
Thanks, Doug.
thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, we are adjourned.
We are
Wait,
Oh, Wolford.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Come on, what's it stand for? Wilford.
Garbage.
Garbage.
Paul, I'm impressed. Okay, all right. So, just real quick, first of all, I realized attending these meetings that no one really knows everything about what you can recycle.
Garbage.
Yeah, garbage. Seriously, they are doing a lot of campaigning to, for their website and sending out information so that we can be educated. It seems like it's something that has to be educated every year. So anyway, so doing that, just for your information, they've got curbside Christmas tree collection that they're doing right now. through
And this is for the
January.
east side of Murray.
Well, yeah.
Everybody of the.
That's right, everyone buys those. So Diane gets to put her Christmas tree out. I know she took it down the next day after, so anyway. I know, yeah. And then, there was one more thing I didn't think about. Oh, and we had a budget opening. Really, honestly, this is just stuff, just to let you know. And we had to have a meeting right before Christmas, 2 days before.
Cool. Are you gonna be the leader of that board too? Just kidding.
No, not leader, no, I'm just on the board. No. I got railroaded in the other one, I'm not. Anyway, so that's all that's going on.
Alright.
Wolford. I know what it is. Okay.
Now we're adjourned. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I knew it.
Hey, welcome. It's 6:30 and time for the Board of Directors for the Redevelopment Agency of Murray, Utah. It is January 2nd, 6:30. We're going to have a very short meeting. Welcome those who came to join us. And we're going to have a short meeting this time. Bill, do you want to come up? The only thing we're going to be doing is the election of the chair and vice chair for 2024.
That is correct. There are no other items on the agenda. I do not have any additional updates for you on ongoing projects at this time.
All right, so we will just do the election.
All right, thank you.
I will open nominations for the election of chair for the RDA for 2024.
I would like to nominate Councilwoman Rosalba Dominguez for chair for 2024.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. I accept that nomination.
Great. Are there any other nominations?
Yes, I would like to nominate Pam Cotter for vice chair for the RDA.
We do the first one,
We'll do the first one,
then the second.
then we'll do vice chair.
We're on the
You're
chair
ahead, yeah.
first, and then that's okay, you're new, but
We'll get the hang of it.
yes. Okay, so we have a nomination of Rosalba Dominguez for chair for RDA for 2024. Brooke, would you call the roll? Oh, yes. Do we need a second? Okay. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Very good. All right, now, Brooke, would you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pritchett, right? Pickett, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I second guessed myself as soon as I said it.
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. All right, we are now at nominations for the vice chair for the 2024 RDA. And so, do we have any nominations?
Why, yes. I'd like to nominate Councilwoman Pam Cotter for vice chair for the RDA.
Thank you. I will second that.
Okay. Councilmember Cotter, do you accept that
I
nomination?
accept it wholeheartedly, yes.
All right, sounds good. Would you call the roll, Brooke?
Yes, Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett. Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. All right, this concludes the. Okay. Resolution number R24, resolution appointing the chair and vice chair for the Redevelopment Agency of Murray City for calendar year 2024. Whereas pursuant to section 3.2 of the bylaws of the Redevelopment Agency of Murray City, the RDA board must elect a chair and vice chair for each calendar year by majority vote of the board in the first regular board meeting in January. And whereas a vote was taken January 2nd, electing Rosalba Dominguez as chair and Pam Cotter as vice chair. Now therefore be it resolved by the Redevelopment Agency of Murray that Rosalba Dominguez shall serve as chair of the Redevelopment Agency of Murray for calendar year 2024. Number 2, Pam Cotter shall serve as vice chair of the Redevelopment Agency of Murray for the calendar year of 2024. And 3, this resolution shall become effective immediately upon its passage and adoption. So I will take a motion.
I move that we pass the resolution adopting the chair and vice chair for the Redevelopment Agency of Murray City for the calendar year 2024.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? All right.
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. Okay, this is the business that we have for the RDA, so I will close the RDA.
Do you think Murray City could pay their heating bill? It's freezing in here, my goodness.
I don't know.
You should talk to the mayor about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we will go to the Municipal Building Authority. Pam Cotter is the chair.
Sorry, have to turn this on. Welcome, everyone, to the Municipal Building Authority of Murray City of January 2nd, 2024. I first need to have the minutes to be approved for the Municipal Building Authority meeting, December 6th, 2023. Do I have a motion for that? Oh, first, was there any changes? Did anybody, looked at it, changes? Everything was okay, corrections? Okay, so I'll have a motion for this.
I motion to approve the minutes for the Municipal Building Authority meeting on December 6, 2023.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner. Aye. Mr. Hawk.
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Pickett,
Aye.
and Ms. Cotter.
Aye. Thank you. All right, now we're on to business item number 1, is the election of Municipal Building Authority Board officers for the calendar year of 2024. First, we'll start with the president. Do we have a nomination for president for the Municipal Building Authority of Murray City? I nominate Diane Turner.
I was thinking we could just keep it as it is. And although we can't, we have 2 new council members. I'm sorry, I forget. Okay. All right, sorry,
Oh, that's
Councilmember
okay.
Cotter.
That's fine, that's fine. Don't worry.
And I will second the nomination.
Do we have any other nominations for the president for the Municipal Building Authority Board officer for the calendar year of 2024? No other ones? Okay.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. Now we're on to the election of a vice president for the Municipal Building Authority Board officer for the calendar year of 2024. Do we have any nominations for vice president?
I'll nominate Adam Hawk.
I second it. Is there any other nominations? Okay, seeing that there's not, Brooke?
Sure. Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Okay, now we're on to the secretary/treasurer for the election of a Municipal Building Authority Board officer for the calendar year of 2024. I would like to nominate Paul Pickett for secretary-treasurer.
I'll second.
Is there any other nominations for secretary/treasurer of Municipal Building Authority Board officer for the calendar year of 2024?
No.
Seeing that there is none?
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye. Okay, seeing that is done, thank you. We'll go on to business item number 2. Consider a resolution of the Municipal Building Authority of Murray City acknowledging trustees electing officers for the calendar year 2024. Seeing this is my first time doing this, I'm probably going to have some help on this. So, I will read the resolution, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So the resolution of the Municipal Building Authority of Murray City acknowledges the trustees and electing officers for the calendar year 2024. Be it resolved by the Municipal Building Authority of Murray City as follows. The trustees and officers of the Municipal Building Authority for calendar year 2024 are specified in the attached list.
It's the members of the city council.
Yeah, yes, it's what you see up here. Officer President will be Councilwoman Diane Turner. Vice President would be Councilman Adam Hawk. Secretary/Treasurer will be Councilman Paul Pickett.
And you just need a motion and a second.
And I need a motion for that.
I move that we accept a resolution of the Municipal Building Authority of Murray City acknowledging the trustees and electing officers for the calendar year 2024.
I second that.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye. Thank you. So I think I'm looking over to Jennifer. We are now going to adjourn and we'll probably be going into our next meeting. Thank you.
Welcome. Our next meeting is the Murray City Municipal Council meeting for January 2nd, 2024. I'd like to welcome everyone and ask that you turn off your cell phones if you have them on. I'd also like to welcome the new council members, and that's Councilmember Pickett and Councilmember Hawk.
Thank you.
So anyway, we'll continue on. Also, I would like to welcome those up here, the mayor, Brooke, GL, Jennifer. So anyway, now we will continue with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Jennifer Kennedy, our council director, to do that, and she said she would, so.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, now we usually have special recognition. There is none scheduled. So we will go to citizen comments. Oh, the minutes. Oh, my goodness. Oh, thank you. He's the new one, and he's telling me what to do. Good choice. All right. Let's see, the approval of the minutes for the council meeting for December 6th, 2023. Are there any changes?
I didn't see any.
Okay, I see no changes. All right. I would request a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of council meeting December 6, 2023.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Now there is no special recognition, and we'll continue on to the citizen comments. The comments will be limited to 3 minutes. I would request that you step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form. Oh, there's Patty. Patty has it if you want to chat with us, so. It looks like we have a comment.
I just wanted to say that the ceremony, I'm Clark Bullen, District 3. The ceremony earlier today was wonderful, and just congratulate all of the new council members elected and reelected. When I was listening to the Committee of the Whole meeting earlier today, the sound is not the best always. Sometimes it's, people with a lower voice, it's harder for the microphone to pick up, or if multiple people are talking at the same time. I'm not sure what the solution is there. I thought if everyone had a microphone like they do here, it would solve it, but it would take away from the informality of the Committee of the Whole meeting. But if there was a way to solve it for those who are listening and pretending to work at their day jobs, that would be great if there's a way to solve that in case there's information that is shared with the public on social media or by whatever means. And that's all, just a thought, a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get IT to work on that. All right. Other comments? Okay, seeing none, we will go on to the consent agenda. Mayor Hales will be presenting.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm just gonna, is it okay if I just do them all under one resolution? Okay. I'll just read from here. Consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of, and if you are here, I know I see a few of you, if you're here, if you'll please stand. Consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Catherine Burton to the Senior Recreation Center Advisory Board for a term of February 2024 through 2027. Thank you for being here. Consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Hal Luke to the Senior Recreation Center Advisory Board for a term, same term, from February 2024 through January 2027. Thanks for being here. Consider a confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Michael Richards to the Planning Commission for a term beginning, and I've been asked to change this to January 1st, so if you'll put that in your notes, January 1st, 2024, ending January 15, 2027. Consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Peter Harisu to the Planning Commission for a term beginning January 15, 2024, and ending January 15, 2027. Consider a confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Matthew Givens to the MCCD Review Committee for a term from January 2024 through January 2027. Number 6, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Carl Shatton to the Senior Recreation Center Advisory Board for a term from February 2024 through January 2027. Isn't that interesting how years ago we'd talk about 2027 and we thought we'd never get there? That's just 3 years away. Crazy. Let's see, January 2027. Number 7, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Ned Hacker to the Planning Commission for a term from January 2024 through January 2027. Number 8, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Kim Martinez to the Arts Advisory Board for a term beginning January 15, 2024 and ending January 15, 2027. And then final, number 9, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Laurie Densley to the History Advisory Board for a term beginning August 1st, 2023 and ending August 1st, 2026. And let me just clarify on the Michael Richards appointment. The reason why that has been changed to January 1st is we had Jeremy Lowry, who resigned from the board, and so he is resigning, so we need to have Michael on immediately, so that's it. Questions for those appointments?
Are there any questions for the mayor?
No.
Okay, I would appreciate a motion.
Can
And
we-
we can take them together.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as it's written
Aye.
With the change.
and the changes. January 1st of Michael Richards, correct?
That's
Yep.
correct.
And that was the only change?
That's the only correct.
Yep,
Thank you.
January 1st, and ending January 15th, 2027.
I second the motion.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
So technically, his term has to end January 1st, 2027, because he only serves 3 years or 4 years, whatever it is.
Oh.
3 years, right?
Say that again?
So it can't, so it has to, if it begins January 1st, it has to
That
end.
has to end
then.
January 1st, 2027, okay.
Yeah.
So do you want me to restate that again?
Yes.
Yeah, so January, for Michael Richards, so we'll say January 1st, 2024 through January 1st, 2027.
Okay,
Okay.
just that one,
Yeah, I think we can just say as stated by the mayor.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
and just leave it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is that good, GL? All right, thank you. That's why we have you here.
hope that's
Keep
not the only
us. Thank you. All right, Brooke, would you
Sure.
read the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
That it? I
That's
thought
it?
there was another vote for a minute. I tell Brooke, seriously, every time, and it's not some of the time, it's almost every time, when there's a vote, not really a vote for anything, but when you're, like the minutes or whatever, I want to say aye so bad. And I think it's just a habit. So if you ever hear me say aye, I might go, I'd like a drink. So anyway, so thanks for bearing with me. And thanks to all those that serve. Really, we are so blessed. That's the most I think I've ever read. And thank you for your participation and your questions earlier. But that's the most I think I've personally put in. And so we just want to thank those that are here and those that are not here for all their service. It's amazing what we have here in Murray City. And we will be having a Boards and Commission dinner. That's this month. I want to say January, who's smart enough here? Doug?
11?
What? January 30th. So that will be an appreciation for all those that serve. And anyway, those that are here, I just want to say thank you for all your service and thanks. We know that some couldn't get here, but thanks for being here. And I know the council won't care if you want to leave or if you want to stay, they'd be happy to have you stay. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. You've been busy. My goodness, that was quite the list. Gads.
Thank you all for wanting to serve and continuing to serve as well.
And Hal, I will see you in TRX next Tuesday. Thank you. All right, we will continue. Let's see, we're at the public hearing portion. So the public hearing is to consider an ordinance amending sections 15.24.010 and 15.24.020 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the International Fire Code and collected permit fees. Joseph Middleman. I'm not used to calling you Joseph, so I just usually call you Chief.
Usually my mom calls me Joseph when I'm in trouble. So for the record, if we could get that on the record.
Joey, what's your middle name?
Bernard.
Because Diane sounded like she was getting after you. Joseph, Bernard Middleton.
The second.
Middleman, excuse me.
But now we're totally
I know.
off. Yeah, so.
Thank you, Joey. It's good to see you here.
Sorry, I'm panicking. Give me 1 second. All right, now we're duplicating. You guys hopefully see that on your screen. Well, thank you, council, for giving me the opportunity to propose this. to the council, as well as explain this to the city as well, for those of you guys online watching. The code adoption is something that we have needed to complete since July this past year, but we noticed a couple of discrepancies that we really worked on with the wording on this. And as we look at the wording on our adoption of our code, it in the past had the Fire Prevention Board, which is incorrect, and it was set up to just be ongoing, to where we never had to adopt a code. For when the state adopted the code, it just naturally, we would then fall in line, which there is some positive points to that, but there's also some negative points to it. You guys don't get to see it before you every 4 or 5 years, and I think it is something worthwhile that you guys would like to see every 4 or 5 years as the state updates the fire code, and then to see if there's any major changes within the fire code. There isn't a whole lot of changes or updates in the 2021 code that I have to highlight for you within the code. As I mentioned on the committee of the whole, there's about 6,000 pages of codes, and they probably changed, roughly about 1,000 little pages of words. And that's what our wonderful Fire Marshal Jeff Pulls now gets to go. The other part that we did include in on this is the appendix to clarify to our construction folks out there that we do follow appendix B, C, and D. And on those appendix that we follow, that helps us with our access roads, as well as our hydrants, as well as, I'm drawing a blank here, give me one sec. What'd you say? Oh, fire flow requirements. See, I knew he'd come through for me. So, and I left my papers actually in the back with the code. And so, do you guys have any questions before I go on from the code? Because the ordinance that we have, you noticed, has two. Thank you, Paul. You can stay up here if you want to. He's much better looking than I am. So, do you guys have any questions on the first part of that ordinance for the International Fire Code adoption?
Are there questions?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to the second part of it, which is the ordinance of 15.24.020 and the fee part. And there's one clerical error that I do need to correct on there that we'll be changing with GL if it's okay. And it is in the fees underneath the CPR insert. And as GL keeps you guys in line, he does a fabulous job of keeping me in line as well. And so the description for our residents out there, instead of listing Murray City Fire Department will have these fees approved through the mayor's office and posted on the city website, it's a little more simple if we just state they are approved by the mayor and posted on the website. I got that right, Gio? Okay, so now let's talk about the fees within it. So other than that, the ordinance would stay exactly as listed. The fees that we physically have charged in the past for fire prevention, as well as the services that we provide, have not always been covering what we've actually been supplying for our construction folks, for the hazmat area, for the tent inspections, the food truck. And so I'll really quickly, just so the citizens here, just kind of go down some of the new inspection fees. We have an annual inspection fee now that we're proposing. That annual inspection fee would be $75, and that would cover our inspectors to go out and actually complete that inspection, as well as review their license paperwork as it goes out. We only charge these fees when we actually go out and do our life safety inspections. And that's the important note, that the businesses are receiving a service through us on there. Where in the past, that's just come out of the general fund. We feel it's appropriate for the council to consider that fee just be allocated to the business that we're serving on that fee, just like we do for a citizen if they want a CPR card or anything else that we go. The next one would be our fire system inspection. That one is one that we've just always done for businesses if they have a life safety inspection overall. And so if we're gonna review your plan, then there's a fee that goes along with that. If by chance, you continually have inspections that need us to come out, for example, we had a business that I may mention earlier that we were out over 200 and something times, then we will actually charge those. I got off track a little bit with my fee and I started going down the ordinance. I want to go back just a second and cover some of the PowerPoint that I had. The inspectors that we have that go out on these inspections, the organization chart that we have for that is covered by a fire marshal, a deputy fire marshal, and then 3 part-time inspectors. One works 29 hours a week, one works 22, and the other 15. We allocate about $85,000 for part-time employees, and that's a really easy number to be able to allocate between that and the deputy fire marshal and the fire marshal, where these wages are costing and how we're not covering our fees with the wages, or excuse me, we're not covering the appropriate time that we're spending on this with the fee structure that we have. And so when you look at the things that we go through, I've listed out these that we had talked about prior, which is what they actually go through and complete with this fee structure. And I apologize to Adam and or council members Pickett and Hawk that you guys, I missed you guys at December when we were going over this, and that's why I figured I better stop with the fee structure and actually catch you guys up a little bit. They go over in the fire marshal's office about 160 life safety, sprinkler, or alarm plans. And so these are plans that a construction agency comes in, and if you look up in the ceiling, there's sprinklers in here. They make sure they're allocated in the right spots to actually suppress the fire or notify the alarm company to notify us that they will actually work in the event of an emergency. We use a system called LIV, which is Life Inspection Vault, and that's later on listed down in that list of things that they do. And it's a computer system that the side companies that actually do the installs as well as the annual inspections have to report to. And that has helped us out immensely. I looked up our number today. It's 1,263 inspections that they've gone over and approved or notified that they are deficient within Murray throughout the last 6 months since you guys approved us to use the Life Inspection Vault for that, which has saved us numerous amounts of hours and been able to catch us up. However, at the same time, as you notice deficiencies, it also puts you a little bit behind because you want to go out and fix those life safety errors, which leads us to today. So they do a lot of different stuff, as you can tell on there, from new businesses to annual life safety inspections to fire investigations, then community risk reduction. I'll cruise on to the next area that where these go with our costs and recoveries, and this is where I line that out, which was the plan review construction. We talked about the LIV inspections, and then what I want to get back to is the fee structure that we have here. On the fee structure, on the ordinance itself, a tent permit inspection fee, we've never actually charged those. We only have about 10 of those come in a year, but we do send out our fire marshal and, or excuse me, our fire inspectors to go out and do those. The tent inspection fee is not for like a 10 by 10 tent that you just go get at Big 5. These are the industrial tents that actually are required to have an extinguisher in them, and then also the proper exiting for those tents to make sure if something bad were to happen, we could actually go in and then complete life safety rescues, and or they'll have an extinguisher to extinguish the fire. It also tests the material that it's flame retardant, that it's not going to light on fire and then collapse on people would be the goal. So moving down kind of your guys' ordinance list, the BDA, that's a bidirectional amplifier on the fee instruction. Those are the items that we're placing in buildings such as this building here in City Hall, that we have dead spots with our radios. And it's because of the walls, with the way the energy efficiency is built, it causes us to go into buildings and we no longer can operate within that building due to the radios just going dead or they beep at us, but you can't get out. And so some buildings, such as the hospital, the Murray High School, have BDAs. So we try and keep those up to date on there, and that's what that fee structure would be for as well. We don't, let's see, cruising down a few more, false alarms. We talked about this in the committee of the whole. The false alarms, to give you an idea, we go to places sometimes 40 or 50 times a year to a fire alarm at, I'll just say a business that the fire marshal's office is working with. However, we're not getting a whole lot of compliance with that, and we don't have any sort of a fee structure that can really say, you know what, we're happy to come out. We're your neighborhood-friendly fire department for the first 4 times, but on the 5th time, it's probably going to come, actually, excuse me, I should say it right. The first 3 times, but on the 4th time, we're going to consider putting a fee onto it because that's making us less available, as well as our call volumes going up. And so we feel that's appropriate. Our ordinance that we set up here for you, or before you today, is set up, since that one's a hot topic, I'll go over it a little bit more in depth for our citizens or any businesses that are listening. It's set up within 4 alarms on 60 days. And so the majority of cities go over a 12-month period. And you could say, well, Joey, you're being more stringent over 60 days. It's actually, if you think about it, it's reverse. If it was over 12 months, there would be many businesses that I would feel like, hey, we need to charge that. No, we're only trying to identify the ones that are consistently not fixing, such as if you need to change out a head or update your panel, which is expensive for a business, and we feel for those. However, it's still not appropriate for our fire agency, or excuse me, our fire units to be responding out because it continues to malfunction and it's 20 years old. They need to update that material. So that is the last one that I had on the comparison that was a new fee. Do you guys have any questions? And I apologize, I was a little bit all over the place there at the first. I didn't stick with my PowerPoint. So.
Are there any questions?
No.
Okay. Let's continue on with the public hearing and see if there are any comments from the public. Okay. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and send it to the council. And I just want to make sure that our new council members, Pickett and Hawk, are comfortable with the topic. And, you know, since you weren't there, well, I think actually you both were there, but are you comfortable with the vote?
Thank you. I appreciate the consideration. I'm very comfortable with the vote.
Thank you. Brooke, would you?
Do we have to make a nomination?
Oh, I need a motion.
A motion.
I got ahead of myself.
Nominate to motion.
Thank you.
I motion that we consider an ordinance amending sections 15.24.010 and 15.24.020 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the International Fire Code and collected permits.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
No, I just want to add, I'm happy you guys are taking this direction. I think probably for you all, it's been a long time coming, and it's always a good thing to update systems that are faulty to not create bigger hazards. So thank you so much for your guys' hard work.
Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Thank you, Brooke. All right, Joey, I think you're up again. We are at the business items portion of our meeting. And the first one is to consider a resolution approving an updated multi-jurisdictional automatic aid, mutual aid, fire, training, emergency medical, and other services agreement.
Chief Middleman.
You know, I have to admit, if I could do a do-over of that last presentation, I would totally take it. It must have been because it was Joseph Bernard Middleman II presenting before, so I got really nervous. And I understand the nervousness. I'm like, I don't really feel nervous when I'm presenting too often, but I was nervous. But this one, I got a lot of passion, and I'm Joey, so I love it. So thank you. Coming down a little bit. All right. With the auto aid agreement, this is something I have a ton of passion for, and it comes with the data that we talked about. And so I've updated our data on the presentation that I believe Jennifer had gotten to you guys. And so it has a complete year of 2023 within your slideshow that you have, as well as the PDF that I had sent over. There's 17 cities that complete our auto aid agreement. And as you guys were talking in the committee a whole about the Metro Fire Agency, this is actually something that expands beyond the Metro Fire Agency, and it goes between Salt Lake City Unified Fire as well as any agency that has a side border to our Salt Lake County is what our fire chiefs went with. I had the opportunity to chair this Salt Lake Valley Fire Alliance committee, and so I was tasked with this. I have 9 cities signed so far on this auto aid agreement, so I'm excited to hopefully have a 10th with Murray. And I need to give thanks to our attorney that assisted in drafting this auto aid agreement as well. As we cruise over the auto aid agreement, there's 3 areas that are main focuses of the auto aid agreement. One is our automatic aid, which the agreement is initially started and stemmed from. Automatic aid is you call 911 anywhere within this valley, and you're on 9th East and say 4100 South or 4200 South. Right, or you're right, yeah, Van Winkle, right in between there. The beauty of how we operate now, and also our demise, is you're going to get the closest agency. But if your agency is out of service, say on a different call or already on a call, you're going to get the next closest agency to respond out. And that's what the automatic aid is so you're going to get the closest, most appropriate unit to respond to your emergency in that case. And notice that I said the glory of it, or I can't remember my exact, and also the demise, because we'll talk about some of the stats in a little bit. That's what automatic aid is. So we automatically receive at dispatch. We have these codes in something called the APCO system. Don't ask me what APCO stands for. If you could, I just won't remember right now. But it's built in, and it just automatically, the computer sets it off and then spits out the units. We're actually tracked by GPS driving around the city, which is, you could say, Big Brother watching. We're always watching. But it then pings you where you are, and then that's how it knows where to send the units. In the old days, we would have districts, and then that district would respond, and then it would set up in the background of districts. So it would say, if this district is unavailable, then this district will go, and then this one will go, and so forth. And those are stacks. And the new GPS system just tailors it to the closest, most appropriate units to go. So that's automatic aid. The next one is mutual aid. Mutual aid is something that a scene commander requests. So for example, if we have something that's specific, such as hazmat, we have mutual aid agreements set up through the state legislature that goes throughout the entire state, and we have a military base or a military hazmat unit. So if our hazmat units can't handle the hazmat situation that's going on, we have a mutual aid agreement with the military, with the Army, and they have, I can't remember the infantry that actually has their 7 guys that can respond out. And they respond out, and they're our experts, and these guys and gals are amazing. That's what they do nonstop, and they love to come out and help us. And so that's an example of mutual aid. We could also call up mutual aid, say Lone Peak Fire or Lehigh Fire. Actually, Lone Peak and Lehigh are on it. Let's say Provo. You could see Provo respond up here, and that would be an example of mutual aid if we had something large and we needed something that they have. The next one is incident management team. This is brand new to our agreement. This is a continuation of agreement, as an update of an agreement. The IMT team has set up to actually assist us in our emergency operations center. The emergency operations center, when we operate, would be anything from a water contamination to a large fire to a train derailment. And what we're putting together as fire chiefs is a team that can come in and assist cities with their incident management of all different levels, from logistics to planning to housing to the operations. It goes into the police area as well. And so this team can actually respond out and then assist that emergency operations center with guiding them through the process of the proper paperwork. In some cases, as you look at some of the news that recently came out, FEMA awarded Utah the declaration of the disaster for the floods last year. That's what this team really specializes in, is to do the right procedures in the right event to make sure we're operating underneath the FEMA guidelines. So, do you guys have any questions on those three areas? All right, other noteworthy material within the contract. We do training. In fact, you know, I looked at it before Committee of the Whole, but I didn't look at it before here. We have our valley-wide training coming up, our leadership symposium coming up in March. I had sent it to Jennifer, and I believe she sent out to you guys. I think it's March. Oh, okay, yeah. So anyhow, we'll make sure that you guys have that. And we're actually planning on hosting it here in the council chambers. We'll have 130 firefighters here throughout the valley. Some will be on shift, but the majority will be off shift, just volunteering their own time to come to these trainings. And they'll just be in pure leadership. And this allows us to operate so when they walk in the door, they're covered by their city and not our city. And so it goes over liability and so forth. Equipment, this is one, knock on a lot of wood, we have not had to use in many years. If you go back to when I was first hired, I remember driving around in a white farm truck fire engine. And that white farm truck fire engine came from West Valley because, unfortunately, we had a couple of rough spots go in, and we had an axle break on one of our fire engines, and we were going to be out for a while. And then our other one had to go into service, so we were driving around one of West Valley's fire engines. They said, you know, it just wasn't, we didn't look cool enough, and I don't know, they wanted it back. What? No. We've really appreciated this. We've actually never had to lend out any of our apparatus, but in the case that we do have a fantastic fleet now that CIP that you guys have set us up with. It definitely assists us a ton, so thank you for that. This contract will renew for 5 years with an extension of another year. Excuse me, an extension of 5 years. After that, if no changes are needed. However, I'll still bring that before you then and verify. And I already mentioned the other two details of 17 agencies and Murray assisted. Let's talk about your auto aid just so you guys kind of see it, or the citizens see it. This is our call volume in a city network. If I were to go into the program and highlight on those numbers up on the screen, you would kind of see them go into the areas that they are. I can zoom down and see clear down to the house. That I can't do that in public, obviously, because that identifies emergencies to the locations that we've been on. But it shows our broad range of where we respond to. Here's another cool map, and that's a heat map where we cover for our calls. I need to thank the history of Murray on the location of our fire stations for this auto aid agreement. There's many cities on the auto aid agreement that are not set up like Murray. We have essentially a triangle for a city, and we have a triangle for fire stations. This allows us to make sure that we're covering our area. In fact, we cover it so well, we actually extend into other areas that we're working on with the mayor's office to make sure we try and balance out those extra responses, because as I mentioned before, our call volume's gone up over the last few years, and that's one of the struggles that we have with our increasing call volume and making sure that we can cover those costs. So 2023 in a whole, we had 6,203 Murray cases. We actually didn't respond out on 6,203 cases in Murray. We actually responded in Murray 5,603 times, but our call volume was actually 6,935 calls, which you're like, Joey, you just conflicted the numbers. So where were the other calls? If by chance a call came in and they were closer, they took it in our city. And if a call came in and we were closer, we took it in their city. And that's part of the system for the Auto 8 agreement and some of the stuff that we're balancing out with Unified or South Salt Lake. To give an idea, South Salt Lake gives us an extra 100 calls a year. We give Unified a few more calls. I'm trying to get that number down. I'm working with our IT department to get me another data program called Exante, but we're working with them to have better data. So I look forward in the future, if you guys want to know that data, I would love to have that data to you guys in the mayor's office. And I think it's something important to know for you guys where your services are being used, especially if I'm asking for additional help here and there. I think it's important for you guys to identify that.
That'd be great, Joey.
Say what?
That would be great. We would appreciate having that.
Definitely.
Thank you.
So, yeah. On the difference, we are taking an extra 732 calls within that. A lot of those get a little bit confusing on the call volume, just so you guys are aware of, because some of those are fire calls. And the fire calls, you'll receive multiple units that come in, but a case number will only create one case for multiple units, if that makes sense. So, what questions do you guys have by chance on some of this data? I'll go back to it, or anything else on the Auto 8 agreement.
I have a, oh, sorry.
Ladies first.
Okay, thanks. I said I have a question. Why would we use our resources to cover other cities? I've heard it a lot. I mean,
yeah.
What's the benefits, or what are some of the disadvantages of that?
So one of the benefits that we've tried as fire chiefs to come together and kind of cut out that border, that line, is when you have your family sitting on the border of Murray and they have a cardiac arrest, I always want our units responding in the deep part of my heart. But on the outskirt, I say, you know what, if we can get a agency there, even though they don't drive as fast of a fire truck because there's a red and they're really slow, but if they had yellow, they'd be a lot faster. So long as we get those firefighters doing CPR, every minute that goes by increases your chance by 10% to have a survivability rate. And so that's what we're really after. Strokes are even bigger than that. Our average scene time on a stroke, we shoot for less than 4 to 5 minutes of being on scene. That's pick up, load up, and go. And so if we have that delay, some of these calls are huge for a time savings, because you're what we call kind of a door to balloon time at the hospital. We want to get them the best time that they can physically get to get under 90 minutes to get that balloon inside, increasing that flow back to the brain or back to the heart or whatever it may be. For a fire, to give you an idea on the fire side where we do these automatic aids, it's every minute a fire typically will double in size. And so it does get a little muddy or messy on this, and that's where I really rely upon our mayor's office to, when I see discrepancies, that we work with them, and then we'll be able to work with the other cities and the surrounding fire chiefs. So I meet with Chief Burchett, which is our largest border, which is the Unified Fire Chief, every 6 months. And this is one of the things that I brought up with them is we need to try and balance out our numbers, because I know our call volume's increasing. We're up over 1,000 calls over the last few years, and it's crazy how call volumes are increasing. And I know we're building up, and we don't really grow out in Murray, but we are going up, and that's part of the calls. The other part is really sad. It's, sorry, I'm detracting from a little bit.
No, you're fine.
I figured this information. We have more sick calls than we've had ever before. So people use 911 for all kinds of things. So, but all right, does that answer your original question?
Yeah, that answers my, are we also seeing like an increase of calls due to population of like our older generations or our most vulnerable? And just, is that something that you are seeing more frequently? Or just even in Utah?
We are. We have a dramatic increase in our population. I'll see if I can dual task and bring up something for you since I've got my computer hooked up and see what it'll do here. If I just crashed it. But to give you an idea while that's trying to come up, it is, our elderly population doesn't have the increase as much as the probably lower income population that we have seen. Our falls have always been a top call. And so I brought this up right here thinking you may ask something like this. And so I kind of had it somewhat ready for you. And come on, screen, go away. There we go. All right, so our sick calls used to be about the 5th call down in that list, and that's by number. So we had, in 2023, 686 calls that came in as a sick call, and we had...
And what qualifies a sick call? Is it just, I'm sick, can you please come see if I'm okay?
Stomach flu, you don't feel well, you got the sniffles, you're bleeding out of places you don't talk about, stuff like that. And then, so that's kind of the generalized sick. Sick, I will say dispatch has tried to get their call to us out the door time under 60 seconds. And that creates more sick calls as well, because when they don't have a specific code, a 26 is just what it kind of defaults into. We were defaulting it to an unknown, but they kind of threw out that sick to, you know, give us a little bit more direction for our fire crews. Because our fire crews, I give them the lenience. If you'll notice the fire engine may be driving around without their lights on, it's because they don't drive lights and siren to all calls. Murray is 12.4 square miles. So when the captain receives dispatch details, he identifies, should I be driving lights and siren to this call, or is this one between the location and where it's at? I'm going to go just 1040, which is no lights, no siren. And police do the same thing. As if they get a call that's something minor, then they don't always turn on their lights. And you want us to do that, otherwise we will disrupt traffic so much. And so anyhow, that kind of helps us out. Back on your question, in the past, this auto accident used to be our #1 call and falls, and look where it went. And then this false alarm call right here was also, you know, a little bit more of the higher up, and this includes fire and EMS. And so we've reduced our false alarm calls thanks to Fire Marshal Pulls back there, and then trying to mitigate a lot of these false alarms over the last few years. But we're always working on trying to reach out to the public, and community health is big in the fire service, even though it's weird that community health is, but it's a big part of us.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until we talked about it more, even in my tenure, just what you guys do outside of fires.
Yeah, our goal is not to have more calls every single year. I've mentioned this to a couple of you guys out there, and I love, since the public is, if they're listening to this as well, is our critical calls have stayed just pretty steady type thing. Our non-critical calls have actually gone up. And so our goal is to be able to, 911 is a great system that we have, and it provides great care. However, a lot of these calls, we hope that we can educate and redirect to the appropriate, such as a, you know, personal health care physician that could handle this rather than the ER, because our ERs are overwhelmed as well. IMC is having record numbers come through the ER. And if you remember during COVID, you know, they had crazy amounts of wait time with respiratory stuff, and they still have this winter right now. I'm sure their wait time is long right now because it's nighttime, and this is about when your respiratory stuff kicks up. So, yeah. Any other questions? Well, thank you guys for the opportunity to present that, and I look forward to any other questions that you guys have with data. I'll be reporting to you guys on our department in February, and so feel free to ask me any more then. So.
Thank you, Joey. All right, so is there any further discussion, or if not, I would like a motion.
I would like to make a motion of the resolution approving an updated multi-jurisdictional automatic aid, mutual aid, fire training, emergency medical, and other services agreements.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Okay. Brooke, would you call the roll?
Yeah, Mr. Hawk, excuse me, Mr. Hawk.
Aye.
Mr. Pickett.
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez.
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. Okay. Now we are at number 2, which is consider a resolution approving the mayor's appointment of representatives to boards and interlocal entities and to a community development corporation. Mayor Hales.
Thank you again for allowing me to come up and do this. So you want me to read the resolution part also?
Yes, that'd be great.
Whereas the mayor needs to make appointments to the governing boards of Utah Associated Municipal Power System, UAMPS, Central Valley Water, Reclamation Facility, Salt Lake Valley Emergency Communication Center, VEC, Transjordan City's Utah Telecommunication Open Infrastructure Agency, Utopia, Utah Infrastructure Agency, UIA, Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District, Wilford, Intermountain Power Agency, Intermountain Power Project, Metro Fire Agency, Jordan River Commission, collectively interlocal entities, and to NeighborWorks, Salt Lake. And whereas the mayor has made appointments to the government, sounds so weird me saying that, governing boards of the interlocal entities and to the Community Development Corporation. And whereas the mayor wants approval for the, by the Murray City Municipal Council of these appointments, now therefore be it resolved by the Murray City Municipal Council that it hereby possibly approves the following appointments. Number 1, Greg Ballon as the city's representative to the Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems, UAMPS, board with Matt Youngs as the alternate representative. Number 2, Brett Hales as the city's representative to Central Valley Water Reclamation Facility Board with Ben Ford as the alternate representative. Number 3, Doug Hill as the city's representative to the Salt Lake Valley Emergency Communication Center, VEC, board with Craig Burnett as the alternate representative. Number 4, Lynn Potter as the city's representative to the Transjordan Cities board with Russ Kakala as the alternate representative. Number 5, Doug Hill as the city's representative to the Utah Telecommunication Open Infrastructure Agency, Utopia, board with Brenda Moore as the alternate representative. Number 6, Brenda Moore as the city's representative to the Utah Infrastructure Agency, UIA, board with Doug Hill as the alternate representative. Brett Hales as the city's representative to the Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District Board. Number 8, Greg Ballon as the city's representative to the Intermountain Power Agency Board with Matt Youngs as the alternate representative. Number 9, Greg Ballon as the city's representative to the Intermountain Power Project Purchaser Representative with Matt Youngs as the alternate representative. Number 10, Doug Hill as the city's representative to the Metro Fire Agency Board. 11, Mayor Brett Hales as the city's representative to the Jordan River Commission with Kim Sorensen as the alternate representative. Number 12, Elvon Farrell as the city's representative to NeighborWorks Salt Lake Board. And these appointments, if approved, will take effect immediately on this second day of January 2024.
My goodness. Good job, Mayor.
What I do.
Okay. Are there questions of the mayor? Is there anything you'd like to say, council? All right, if not, I would appreciate a motion.
I move that we approve the resolution approving the mayor's appointments of representatives to boards and local entities and to a community development corporation.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion or any discussion? No? Okay. Brooke?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Thank you, and thank the council for that, and also thank our employees for all their
Yes.
service. They're amazing. If I can't get to something, the alternative will get there for us, or vice versa, and it's just, it's awesome. Our employees never complain in front of me, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, now we're at number 3, and that is election of the city council chair and vice chair, and consider a resolution appointing the chair and vice chair for the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2024. I guess I am presenting, so let's open nominations for first city council chair. Are there nominations?
Yes, I would like to nominate Pam Cotter, for city council chair.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Are there further nominations? Okay.
Mr. Hawk?
I'm sorry, Brooke, would you?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Okay, now, for vice chair, nominations are open for vice chair for the Murray City Municipal Council for
I
the
no-
calendar year of 2024.
I nominate Rosalba Dominguez, Councilwoman.
Okay, Rosalba, you accept that nomination?
I do.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Adam Hawk as council vice chair.
Adam?
I accept.
You accept that? Okay. So we have 2 nominees for the vice chair. And so Brooke, when you take the roll, each council member will state their preference. Excuse me?
Do
Oh,
I need
we
a
need a
second
second. Oh,
for
my
both of those
word.
nominations?
I swear.
I will second for both nominations.
Okay.
All
And
right,
we'll go
now
to the vote.
Brooke.
Yes, Mr. Hawk?
Myself, Hawk.
For which one?
For vice
For
chair.
vice
You
chair.
were voting for vice chair and you were saying a name. Yes. And then Mr. Pickett
Hawk.
and Ms. Cotter
Councilwoman Dominguez.
and Ms. Dominguez
Myself, Councilwoman Dominguez.
and then Ms. Turner.
Councilmember Hawk. Okay. So then, let's see. We have to
Do the resolution.
do the resolution. Yeah, I'm So we now have a resolution number R 24-0, and the resolution is appointing the chair and vice chair for the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2024. And it reads, whereas pursuant to the Utah Code annotated 10-3B-203, Murray Municipal Code 2.04.060 and Rules 2A and B of the Rules of the Murray City Municipal Council, Murray City Corporation, the City Council must elect a chair and vice chair for each calendar year by majority vote of the council in the first regular council meeting in January. And whereas a vote was taken on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, electing council member, Cotter as chair and council member Hawk as vice chair. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Murray City Municipal Council that council member Cotter shall serve as chair of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2024. Number 2, council member Hawk shall serve as vice chair of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2024. Number 3, this resolution shall become effective immediately upon its passage and adoption. So I will take a motion.
I move that we adopt a resolution appointing the chair and vice chair of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2024.
I second it.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Is there discussion on the motion? Okay, if you would.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Turner? I'm sorry, Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Thank you, Brooke. All right, I have so many papers up here, it's crazy. Oh my goodness. Oh. Yes, thank you, Jennifer. Okay. Now, we are at the election of the Budget and Finance Committee Chair and Vice Chair. Let's see, the Budget Finance, okay, let me find those. There we go. Okay, so I will open the nomination for the Budget Committee Chair, Budget and Finance Committee Chair.
I nominate for the budget chair, Paul Pickett.
Do you accept that nomination?
I accept the nomination. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
I will second that nomination.
thank you. All right, Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. All right, now it is the election of the Budget and Finance Committee Vice Chair. I will open nominations.
I nominate Council Member Adam Hawk to Vice Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee.
I second.
And I accept.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's see, we have a second. I guess it's to you, Brooke.
Sure. Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Thank you. All right, we're done with that. Now we're going to go with consider a resolution approving the City Council's appointment of representatives to boards and committees.
We have to do this resolution. The budget chair.
Oh, what? Oh, okay. That's right. I swear. All right, the resolution is Resolution 24-0. It's appointing the Chair and Vice Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2024. Whereas pursuant to Rule 2G2, IIG2 of the Rules of the Murray City Municipal Council, Murray City Corporation, the City Council must elect a Chair and Vice Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee for each calendar year by majority vote of the Council in the first regular Council meeting in January. And whereas a vote was taken on Tuesday, January 2nd, electing Council Member Pickett as chair and Councilmember Hawk as vice chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. Now therefore be it resolved by the Murray City Municipal Council that Councilmember Pickett shall serve as chair of the Budget and Finance Committee of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2024. Number 2, Councilmember Hawk shall serve as vice chair of the Budget and Finance Committee of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2024. Number 3, this resolution shall become effective immediately upon its passage and adoption. So I would appreciate a motion.
I make a motion to approve the resolution appointing the chair and vice chair of the Budget and Finance Committee of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2024.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion? All right, Brooke?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. All right. This is to consider a resolution approving the city council's appointment of representatives to boards and commissions. Let's see. Okay. So the boards and commissions that we need to fill is the Association of Municipal Councils and Utah League of Cities and Towns Legislative Policy Committee and the Chamber of Commerce Board, which we're going to hold. I think we're going to change that, so we'll.
Thank you.
We won't consider number 3.
Perfect, thank you.
Do we need to have a motion on that, Gio, or? Yeah, on the last one. Do we just say we're not gonna do it and then we're fine?
Yeah, do we have to?
Okay. I guess continue the conversation.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna continue the conversation.
Yeah. We're not sure we want to keep that on there, so.
Yeah.
So is it okay just to not list it? List it, not have it be a part of this
Not
motion?
doing
Okay,
it. I'm gonna strike.
okay, so we're gonna delete it. All right, so I will take nomination for a council member to the Association of Municipal Councils.
Councilmember Turner, could you tell us exactly what the Association of Municipal Council for our 2 new elected council members, what that entails? So if we nominate somebody, they know what it's going to entail for them?
Oh.
Like the time frame during the day, evenings?
Well, it usually meets the second Tuesday, right? Second Tuesday of the month at noon. And it is a combination of council members from municipalities throughout Salt Lake County.
Okay. And how long do they meet? I mean.
About an
the
hour and a
time-
half.
An hour
and a half, 2 hours, it
Okay.
just depends.
Okay.
So it's monthly, it's not,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a,
So it's once a month?
Yep.
Okay.
It is once a month.
Then I would nominate Councilwoman Diane Turner to fill that.
Okay, I accept that.
I'll second that motion.
Did I hear a second?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Pickett. I appreciate that. Okay, and now nominations are open. Oh, I guess we first have to do the vote.
Sure. Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Thank you. I think I'm getting tired. Oh my goodness.
I'm with you. I'm
That's a
with you.
lot.
I know. Oh, goodness. All right, now, we need to have nominations for a council member to represent us at the Utah League of Cities and Towns Legislative Policy Committee. And that is, you want to tell us what the commitment is?
I'm gonna have Councilwoman Dominguez jump in now and then. Right now, it's gonna be starting,
January with the session.
yeah, with the session, which is Mondays.
22nd.
And we go up there about 11:30-ish, somewhere around there, and sometimes we get out noon, 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then we have LPC meetings, once a month after the legislature is done. Then we have LPC meetings, which is up north at Salt Lake, which start about 12:15, and you can do until about 1:45, and you can do Zoom, but you have to either be on Zoom or you have to be there because we vote. We have a vote, besides the mayor and GL and Doug. So I just want the new council members to know that it's a time commitment and that you have to be up there when the legislation is in session, so.
And also, during the legislative session, whoever is the representative usually reports to the council
Yeah.
about what's been happening up there.
Yep.
So, okay.
No, you didn't need
Did
more
I,
help.
well, I didn't know if I
Just kidding.
forgot something.
No. And it consists of other representatives throughout the state as well, from
Yes.
different cities and towns, so it's a very interactive organization.
Yes.
Cameron does a great job.
Quite the commitment. So it's good commitment, but
It's a heavy load.
it is a heavy dose. So anyway, I will open this for nominations.
I nominate Pam Cotter to ULCT.
Thank you. I accept that.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, well. All right, we have a nomination, motion, and a second. So would you?
Yep, Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. Oh, my word, is that the last one? I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Now, Mayor? Oh,
I just wanted to say, we're not necessarily deleting the chamber board, but we are gonna continue the conversation.
Reconsidering it?
Reconsidering it with the administration, is that correct?
Are you going to strike it for this resolution?
Yes.
Yes.
So we can't say to strike it, correct? Okay.
So if I just don't add it, if I just,
You just want to make a motion to strike it.
Yeah.
okay, well then I will take a motion to strike the Chamber of Commerce Board.
I make a motion that we strike item number 3 of the resolution 24-0 to nominate someone on the Chamber of Commerce Board.
May I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, has been motioned and seconded. Would you
Yep,
please?
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett.
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. Thank you, Brooke. All right, so resolution number R24-0 is a resolution approving the city council's appointment of representatives to boards and committees. Whereas the city council annually appoints council members to the Association of Municipal Councils, the Utah League of Cities and Towns Legislative Policy Committee, and the we're taking off the Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
Okay, and the towns, let's see, City and Towns Legislative Policy Committee. Whereas the council has discussed appointments to these boards and committees, and whereas the council wants to formally approve the appointments. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Murray City Municipal Council that it hereby approves the following appointments. Number 1, Councilmember Turner to the Association of Municipal Councils. Number 2, Councilmember Cotter to the Utah League of Cities and Towns Legislative Policy Committee. These appointments shall take effect immediately. Okay, I would appreciate a motion on the resolution.
I move that we accept the resolution approving the city council's appointments of representatives to boards and committees.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? No? All right, Brooke?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Thank you, Brooke. Okay, I guess that's it. We're now to the mayor's report and questions, thank heavens.
No, we have another meeting.
I never thought we were gonna get here, because I have about 45 minutes and I need to share some stuff with you, important stuff, so, anyway. They all know I'm kidding. First of all, I just want to say thanks for the approval of the Christmas tree. Let me tell you, that has been such a draw here in Murray. I'm a little obsessed. Am I obsessed, Cindy? Look at Cindy shaking her head, yes. Honestly, I could get home, and then an hour later, I said, you want to go back over to the city? And she's going, weren't we just there? And I said, well, that was an hour ago. So, but we came over constantly, and especially when we did the Wednesday to Wednesday. The first Wednesday when we had Santa Claus and hot chocolate, I'd say probably about 60 people. The second Wednesday we did, about 300 people came through. And it was just perfect the way, the timing on it. And anyway, so it's just been a draw, and it's something I've always dreamed. Doug, I got to give Doug Hill. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like me to give him any credit. But Doug is the one that came up with this idea years ago, and it just really didn't get presented. And so I just can't tell you how it really has been a great draw, and I've always wanted to have something that would draw to the plaza. And we're gonna do lots of other things besides that, but this was our first thing to be able to do to get this draw. And so it's just turned out better than I had ever hoped, and it works. Every night I'm thinking, okay, it's not gonna work, something's gonna go wrong, and it's just our power department and everyone else, the other employees were amazing. But Cindy and I'd come over here, and really, it just was fun to just meet people. We were meeting people left and right, some from all over the country that were here, that had moved here to Murray or visiting. So it was really fun, so thank you for that. And then second, this is great news. Brenda, she was so excited to share, I wasn't here Friday, she was so excited to share this, that first thing on our department head meeting, she brought this in. And Brenda, I give you a lot of credit for this. Everyone was involved, and so hats off to everyone, but Brenda really pulled this together, and GL, thank you for all you did, you and Mark. But this was Moody's is a credit agency. This is massive, you guys. We presented to Moody's on a Zoom. They're in San Francisco, are they, Brenda? San Francisco, asked quite a few questions that were, pertinent for them to make a decision on lowering or raising our credit score. Is A3 the highest you can get, Brenda? Double A3? Triple A, okay. So we were at, so for our bonding with our Public Works building, we were gonna be at a double A1, and we moved to a double A2, which honestly, we were a little, I said that backwards. We went from double A2 to double A1, and the next move would be a triple A. And so we are one right under that, and this will save us hundreds of thousands of dollars for this bond. You know, it just changes just a little of that interest rate, but enough on that $25 million bond that is massive. So anyway, hats off to Brenda and her team, and again, GL and everyone else that was involved that happened, so.
Mayor, have we ever been AAA?
Have we ever? I don't believe we have. Brenda?
No.
I believe this is the best we've ever. This is the best.
Awesome, Brenda.
Nice compliment.
Good job.
You know, they're strict on what they ask and questions, and they're going over, and I've been involved with credit agencies my entire life, and so, but not with the big business like this, and so it's just amazing that we were able to get there, so thank you, Brenda. Next, I also want to give Craig Burnett a big thanks. We had kind of a rocky week with, we had a couple homicides here in Murray. And Craig, Craig wrote Doug and I, and we were talking with him about it, because there was more involved than just a little text that we could do, but you could, after they, even the whole process, the way Craig's officers handled this, and then I think, Craig, I want to say it was the next day, maybe it was next day they apprehended, and so, out in West Valley. And so, hats off to Craig's officers for how well they handled this, the procedures, the safety. And when Craig texts, you could tell Craig almost was like a dad. He was just appreciative to his officers, because they're taking risk every single minute of their lives, and there's instantaneous decisions that need to be made. And Craig just gave them a lot of credit for how they handled this. So I just wanted to be able to recognize Craig and your whole team for how well they did. And thank you. That's my report.
I don't know if I dare say we are adjourned. Thank you all for being here. Oh, my goodness.